today.
Supervisor Surtee will lead us in the pledge. So those that like to participate, please stand.
Let us pray. Eternal God, creator and ruler of all, graciously regard those who have been set in positions of authority among us, including Mike, Jeffrey, Stephen, Jeff, and Rich, that, guided by your Spirit, they may be high in purpose, wise in counsel, firm in good resolution, and unwavering in duty, that under them our Pinal County may be governed quietly and peaceably through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen.
Would you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order of the Pinal County Board of Supervisors for July 2nd, 2025. A couple of announcements here that I want to announce. Items 18 and 19 have outside counsel and are scheduling conflicts, so we may item 18 will recess at 11:30 to do that. Item 19 will follow immediately after item number 7, the purchasing report. So just a little change up in your agenda items as we go through it. First item on the agenda is the county manager's report, information only.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. Just wanted to give an example. We have a video of our Development Services and Public Works Department who is building the road from start to finish, really, and I think they did a good job with their team of explaining how everybody plays their part to make something like this come together, and so wanted to display that and celebrate that project with them.
Thank you all for being here. I want you guys to see all the value that you bring to something that's happening out here in the field. This is a great example of teamwork and collaboration. It's really important that you guys see how much pride that we're taking in some improvements that are being done out here.
This is our Papoose area project. What we're doing is chip sealing the area roads. We did the original topo survey. We did the design, we did all the grade work, concrete work, asphalt work, chip seal work. We sourced the material for the fill. We worked with the city of Casa Grande as a joint venture on part of the road. So it's a huge undertaking for a county like us.
So not only is Papoose going to be done, there's going to be 5.5 miles through this entire area that maintenance is not going to have to send a grader to get up here to maintain these.
And hopefully that you guys see a bigger picture on what the field staff does and how we work together.
There's a whole lot of back-end work that even gets it to this point. Usually these projects come in through email or phone call through our admin staff. Our admin staff take that. They know to filter it through Sarah and her group, maybe a potential TAC project. As it's getting reviewed, there's also the GIS side of the world that has to draft a lot of the maps that end up going towards these projects. There's the right-of-way side. They have to verify there's right-of-way. Once we say yes, our accounting side of the world has to verify that we have budget capacity to make it happen within this fiscal year. There's a lot of hands that go on this before you even move a shovelful. It takes a huge team to make this stuff happen. And I appreciate everybody playing the role.
Thank you, Chairman. That's all for this morning.
Thank you. I think actually the first step is they call their county supervisor. I do remember calls on that area, but great job, Public Works. Thank you. Item number 2, presentations of certificates of service to employees for 20 and 25 years. Mr. Liu.
We have 4 employees that we have the privilege to honor this morning. The first one is from Conciliation Court, Julia Escanio. Has been with us for 20 years and is a court conciliator. Is Mrs. Scagno with us this morning? And the Director, Ms. McElroy, is with us.
Good morning, Chairman Miller, Vice Chairman McClure, and Supervisors. I'm really happy to be here today to celebrate Julia Scagno for her 20 years of service to Pinal County and to the courts. I've had the privilege of working with Julie for 18 years personally. She's a court conciliator. A lot of people don't know what that means. That means she conducts complex family assessments, she facilitates mediation, she teaches classes about parent education and high conflict, as well as a variety of other services to assist families going through court proceedings. Julie is often sought out for her clinical expertise when it comes to difficult cases, and she's highly respected among her peers. She's committed to her work of helping children and families resolve cases and address safety issues. She's reliable, she maintains a positive attitude, even in the most challenging situations. She always goes above and beyond to help the team and is willing to take on any task as needed. As one of the longest-standing team members, Julie has been through extensive changes as we have modified our programs to meet the needs of the community. She was instrumental in starting innovative programs that are not offered in other areas of our state, such as EDCM and expedited services. She also maintained a pleasant demeanor when we had to physically help relocate our office from Coolidge to Florence in the middle of July. So that was kind of a different level of dedication for sure. So, Julie, we appreciate you. Thank you for all the work you do for families every day, and congratulations on 20 years.
Just wanted to say a few words. Thank you so much for this recognition. It's truly an honor to serve Pinal County for the past 20 years. I've had the opportunity and pleasure of working with dedicated, incredible, and compassionate human beings. I'm especially proud to have been part of the growth and accomplishments within Conciliation Court. I'm not sure if the name Clarence Kramer rings a bell to anyone, but he is the one who actually created Arizona's first Conciliation Court and hired me in 2005. It's amazing to see the staff of 6 expand to where we are at now. And all that our current fearless director here, Tracy McElroy, has accomplished for the department over the years. My job has been very rewarding, helping the families of Pinal County as they go through difficult transitions. I have to say, without a doubt, my experiences at Conciliation Court have impacted both my professional and personal growth. I'm grateful for all the opportunities this job has allowed me to have, and of course, the friendships that I've made along the way. I'm very proud to be an employee of Pinal County. The milestone is very meaningful to me. And I do want to thank the Board of Supervisors, too, for their support, including those raises we get, which have helped me provide for my family. Thank you so much for this acknowledgement. It does truly mean a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a little something for you, but don't run off because there will be a group photo.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Next.
Thank you. My notes say that Veronica Martinez is not going to be present today. I don't know if she is. So I don't think she's here. I don't think that Judge Ellie Brown is here, but do want to congratulate and thank Veronica for her 20 years of service in the Copper Quarter Justice Court as a Justice Court clerk.
All right. Thank you.
And then we have 2 employees from the Sheriff's Office. First is Christopher Santos, who's been with us 20 years, is a deputy sheriff. And Sheriff Teeple is here.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, Pinal County. Chris Santos is a man of action, not a man of words, so he doesn't want to speak today, but his badge number is 1173, and he's been serving Pinal County for 25 years honorably. And him and the other individual that we're recognizing today, they are absolutely the definition of PCSO family. Not only has Chris been a member of the Pinal County Sheriff's Office for 25 years, his wife, Catherine, retired from the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, and as a retirement gig, she came back and is now working as a clerk for us after 20 years in uniform. I really want to appreciate one thing about Chris Santos. I know he thinks I'm going to tell the Baker 1173 story, but we'll keep that between us. I would just like to say that every time you guys see the Peace Officer Memorial, or whenever you see an Honor Guard member present the colors or the flags at a funeral, or when we like to do it at ball games, Chris Santos was instrumental in reforming the Pinal County Sheriff's Honor Guard all the way down to designing the uniforms in 2009. He was already a member of the Pinal County Honor Guard, but it had kind of been defunded and been forgotten about. And in 2009, he was one of the members that was tasked to reform it to the amazing unit it is today. If you guys heard the echo taps at this last Peace Officer Memorial, that was all Baker 1173. And I really appreciate his service.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you. Don't run off.
Next, we have Melissa Arnold, who's been with us 25 years and is an administrative supervisor.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, Pinal County, Melissa Arnold doesn't want to speak either, but she has to be recognized. I think you said her title is Administrative Supervisor. I will tell you that doesn't do her duties justice. She is she grew up in Pinal County. She is now the supervisor over our warrants divisions. Anytime a judge issues a warrant for someone's arrest, she has to maintain custody and control of that warrant. And so when we detain an individual that has a warrant for his arrest, we then have to contact and confirm that that warrant is still valid and hasn't been quashed. On top of all of that, she coordinates all the extraditions for any inmate we need to bring back to Pinal County to make them serve their time or stand charges with that. She does so always at a fiscally conservative manner because she looks to see if we can put them on a van. There's private companies that do it, but then sometimes we have to fly them back on a commercial aircraft. If you've ever gotten on an airplane and there's two very serious-looking individuals at the very end of the plane and some not good-looking person in the middle, she's the one that coordinated all that and got the flights available, found out with the jail or the prison where the individual's held, when we can pick them up, what time we can pick them up. And I think if she was going to talk, she would be honest and tell you that sometimes, and I was over extraditions for many, many years, sometimes deputies can be a little prima donnas as far as where their hotel is, or maybe they can have an extra day. And she's always done an amazing job of telling us no.
Perfect.
I forgot to admit, again, PCSO family. Her husband is in the audience. He just suffered an injury, so he doesn't want to hobble up here. But he served very honorably with the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, retired in uniform as a supervisor with the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, and God bless him for showing up today.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Is that it? Okay. Photo time. Don't go far.
He's going to tell us where to go.
Let me go get him first. A little more. Let me get you over so you guys are standing. There you go. Let's go. Are you with that department? Okay, perfect. Why don't we go? Once you see, there you go. There you go. Now come back in between there. There you go. He literally knows what he's doing. I fake it real good. Okay, everybody looking right here. 3, 2, 1. And we're going to do another one just to make sure. And big smile. 3, 2. Love it. Thank you.
right, that brings us to item number 3 on the agenda, which is some updates or regarding each district. I know Rich has a video, but we'll make you last. So we'll start with Supervisor Surtee. Do you have anything?
I do have a couple things. After COVID and the way District 5 is put it together with so many different public lands, BLM, Forest Service, state land, we formed a public land managers meeting group that meets quarterly, and we have all these folks in the same room and all of the law enforcement that takes care of that land. And we've come up with a lot of great solutions and ideas, and we had a lot of people that are able to network through this meeting. And some of you guys have attended, and it's very helpful. And we just met last week, and I want to inform that we had 36 interns that attended, and they really got some benefit out of it. And out of those 36 interns, I guarantee you that they're going to be future leaders and future good employees for whoever hires them. So it was very good to be able to put all these people in one room and then to have these interns there. Another thing, I want to try to get on a future agenda. The first time I ran for office, one of the things I ran on was a stupid hiker law, which is based off of the stupid motorist law. And if you're watching the news this week, you're seeing that why we would want to possibly do this. And we want to keep people safe. We don't want to make them not call for help. We will always help people. But it gets to the point where, 11 family members going around a barricade and having 40 or 50 different law enforcement people have to rescue them. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, a year-and-a-half-year-old had to be airlifted out of a canyon. Who takes a year-and-a-half-year-old hiking when it's 116 degrees? Who pays for the helicopter? And then at one time, the reason I wanted to do this, because we had daredevils, we had people paragliding off of the Superstitions, and the wind was bringing them into the cliffs. There again, hundreds of people have to rescue these people. Where's the reimbursement? Who pays for this? And you're also putting the responders at risk. So I would like on a future work session just to discuss this. We can't make law, but we can do ordinances, and we can discuss possible reimbursement avenues. So I'd like the county attorney to be prepping for that, and how can we do this? Is there anything we can do, et cetera? So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Supervisor Goodman.
We've been, several years ago, we started a breakfast with key individuals, what do you call them, stakeholders, there you go, in our community. And it's grown substantially with a lot of different nonprofit organizations and for-profit organizations, and we call it For Our Community. And in this breakfast, what we do is we take different organizations that are doing fundraisers and things of that nature. Right now, we are doing a fundraiser for back-to-school supplies, and so anybody that would like to participate in that, you're welcome to join forces. We have locations at Home Depot, Walmart in the Santan Valley region that is doing that. So it's growing and becoming more and more successful. We've helped out various individuals. We've got even individuals that we've been able to secure assistance with and help. Then, in addition to that, there's the incorporation effort that's taking place in the Santan Valley area. I've been asked to participate and have participated as far as a panelist discussing what kind of involvement that the county would have or has. And so we've talked about that, making sure that they understand that the county is neutral on the position. We'll just do whatever is requested by the citizens. For instance, the amount of signatures that was required, they got those. We as a board voted to allow it to be put on for a vote. And so those type of things. And then it'll be up to the council what they're going to do. It'll be up to us to choose a new council if it passes. And then it will be up to the new council to determine how that is going to be set up governance-wise. We won't have anything to do with that. But if there is, like police officers and things of that nature, there will probably be some type of an IGA. And these are type of information that was asked of me as far as the county's involvement, what we would be doing, and so on and so forth. And so that's all. We've been very neutral about the whole situation. So thank you.
I don't have any specific to District 3. I'll just say I hope each and every one of you have a safe 4th of July this holiday. So just stay safe out there from heat and fire. So anyway, just take care. Mr. McClure?
Well, let's see. So I wanted to thank Public Works. Citizens up in Oracle are thanking them for striping the Mount Lemmon Highway. I know you guys are here someplace, and they sent me a note. They said, hey, can you just thank them? So here you go. And then the other day I asked them to clean up Saddlebrook Boulevard right outside Eagle Crest Ranch. I said, "Got some mess after you guys repaved it." I thought, oh, they'll just come by, pick up a few bushes and a couple of trees. No, man, they cleaned the thing out. They got a grader out there. It's like, okay, over the top, but very nice. Thank you very much, Mr. Ortiz. Appreciate that. And Kenny and Richard and all the other guys involved. And then I wanted to thank HR at the courts, Public Defense, the Sheriff's Office, and Diversion. This last month, I had a young man here from Spain. He's an attorney. He's 24 years old. And so, back up a bit, my wife's in the Oro Valley Rotary, and they had this guy coming over from Spain as an exchange adult. And they couldn't figure out what to do with him, so they called me. I know them, and they said, hey, can you help him out, get him in some courts and check out? He wants to compare the legal practices here compared to Spain. I was like, sure. So somehow that's how he wound up at my house for a month. and it was fun. It was really a lot of fun. But HR at the courts took him in and let him sit in on some trials and showed him around, took him to lunch, had a good time. Sheriff Teeple brought him in, and we got to talk with him up at his office and took him for a tour of the jail, which he found very informative. Public Defense, Kathy and Kate did a great job dealing with that. That was the only thing he found that was actually similar to the courts in Spain. They don't use juries and they don't use case law. It was really interesting. And then, of course, we hooked him up with the ex-Rotary president, who happens to be a municipal judge in in Huachuca City and in Tombstone. So let's give him the Arizona experience. Took him to Tombstone, dropped him off for a few days, and he hung out down there. He thought that was interesting. And then, of course, we had to go to Las Vegas. That's why I wasn't here the last meeting. So, show him around. So it's been a crazy month. But anyway, I just wanted to put out those thank yous.
Someone has to do it. Right?
Somebody's got to do that.
Okay, Supervisor Violito.
Rich.
Rich.
Thank you, Chairman.
AKA Rich.
I have two videos that I'd like to be shown today. They're both pretty important videos, and I'd like Natasha, if you don't mind, to run the first one, please.
How you doing?
Good afternoon, Kenny.
We're on Ralston Road where the vehicle washes. We're going to be doing a bridge over it, a culvert actually, and it's a public safety issue. We got to make sure that our residents in this area have a safe way to get through this and not get washed out.
When the water comes down, it just drops. Once it rains, everything comes downstream, and that's what causes the mass flooding here. I've actually personally seen it run from side to side and just flash flood in a matter of like 30 minutes.
Where do we stand with the project?
Well, the project now, we're at 100% plans. There's a lot of details that went into this job and planning. Now we're kind of to the start of the line. July 7th is going to be shut down, and it'll be a year-long project. And when we walk away from here, it'll be a nice new asset for Pinal County and a nice road for the residents.
And obviously it's a public safety issue. We want to make sure that our residents are safe, correct?
Correct. That's the number one thing as our concern in Pinal County. And we're really aware of the inconvenience for shutting roads down. Safety of the public is our number one thing.
People are going to ask, am I going to lose my power? Am I going to lose my gas? Am I going to lose, water? What's going to happen with that?
Yeah, that's a good question you're asking, because the gas company actually came through and abandoned the gas line. We have a new gas line coming through. We get rid of the old one. Water, we're actually going to bring it up to a better standard.
Better pressure.
Yep, better pressure, because we're actually going to do all the utilities before. Water, gas, and power is not going to be shut down for any residents out here and won't be an inconvenience for them.
Great.
I mean, not only are we trying to just make this a safer asset for the community, it's actually going to upgrade all the stuff, the water line, everything, to be a better product for the future. So that's a great house.
Great. There was a semi that came through here at 50, 60 miles an hour.
Yep.
What happens if that hits that mass amount of water? Could they lose their brakes, lose control of the vehicle, head on to somebody else?
That's the reason why we're trying to do something like this, a safety concern. The traffic coming through there at that kind of volume of speed, this thing could flow 2 to 3 feet at any moment. That is definitely don't take the wheel in their hand. We're always worried about inconvenience for everybody, but the number one thing in Pinal County is the safety. This will be a better crossing for any school buses, trucks, trailers, Animal Cross, any resident in this area. I think that's the number one concern.
We need to make sure that our residents are safe. So if we have to widen roads, do a bridge like this, a culvert, it's so important for the safety of the people. And we recognize that, and we're not waiting any longer. We're going to be active, okay? We're going to be proactive. We're not reactive. Look at it this way, guys. This may take a year to do, but the bottom line is it's all about the public safety. Please bear with us.
Thank you. So this is a project that's been ongoing, and I really want to appreciate Development Services, Public Works, everybody who's put the effort and time into this, because this is a project that is going to help out there and make it safer for the people out there. And that way, you know, they're going to be able to not have any issues when that water does, you know, flow. Again, please be patient with us. Understand that this is not something let's just do just for the heck of it. It's due for the people. So I just want to, you know, thank everybody. Please be patient and understand that projects like this take time, and we'll open it up as soon as we can. I'm sure no one wants the road closed, so we'll do the best we can. Do you want to roll the second one, please? City of Maricopa is about 21 years old now, and it's been growing like crazy.
You go from 1,200 people to 80,000 people in about 20 years.
The 6th fastest growing city, and that can be in the state, in the nation. We're growing very fast.
We are the largest city in Pinal County.
It's just going to generate congestion on a one way in, one way out.
We need this road fixed.
347, especially in the morning, in the evening, rush hour traffic, it fails. So our State Transportation Board has a process of grading roads during all types of traffic levels, and our road fails.
The road is only 2 lanes. We need to expand it to 3 lanes. We need to take out the 2 lights. We need to do an overpass. 347, it's constantly having accidents and people dying on this. ADOT only has a certain amount of money, and you have to get on the 5-year plan for them to fix that.
This month's State Transportation Board meeting, a very important one to resolve and decide what's going to be in the 5-year plan, is held in Payson.
From the city, we have all 7 council members here. About 25 other constituents who have been putting a lot of hard work into this.
Mayor Price started going to ADOT board meetings every single month 11 years ago, and then when I became the mayor, I had started going to every single State Transportation Board meeting.
I'm getting ready to go into the ADOT board meeting and give my spiel. I'm a New Yorker. I'm going to remind them and give them my story about $20 million.
We all know that the state has a state transportation funding problem, and it grows every year. And so we have to find solutions to the funding problem.
The city has done half-cent sales tax, $30 million there, and in Pinal County, with my colleagues, have put together $20 million to add to that. So a $50 million contribution to this that needs to be fixed.
In 2023, we saw 270 accidents, a fatality, and averages over 100 injuries a year.
Accidents happen on a near daily basis, some minor, others catastrophic.
I have lost a 10th grade student, a 1st grade student, and this year one of my students lost their father. He was a father of 6 children with the youngest a 3-month-old son.
Parents are leaving before the sun rises just to beat traffic, many of them before their kids wake up. And by the time they get home, it's late. That means missed dinners, missed homework help, and missed moments.
There have been times where I had to walk home from school because my parents were stuck in traffic.
A lot of drivers aren't safe, and the road just isn't safe itself.
We specialize in shuttles to and from Phoenix Sky Harbor. Our buses go up and down the 347 up to 16 times a day, so you could say this issue deeply affects us.
For the firefighters and paramedics of Maricopa, it's not just a traffic issue, it's a public safety issue. The 347 is the main corridor for transporting patients to the local hospital.
For too long, State Route 347 has been a glaring weakness in an otherwise thriving and growing region.
We know that the Maricopa residents voted a supermajority to tax themselves to bring you $50 million to put on your table.
Our very conservative city council made the hard decision to raise our sales tax, which we have not done in the existence of the city of Maricopa, by half a cent to help fund this project and to match the ADOT's 2 policies that says when local contributions come forward, then that actually can change the priority of projects.
And now it's up to you. And I really do not envy the position you're in. As public servants, we always are looking at what people want and having to weigh it against what we have available.
The 3 options are that they could vote and approve the 5-year plan as it was presented, or option number 2 was that the Lion Springs project, which is a 4-mile segment, would be moved out to 2028, and then 347 would come in. And then option number 3 is that 3 repavement projects would be moved out in time, allowing 347 and Lion Springs to come in much sooner.
Pavement preservation is critical because every year you put it off, it only gets more and more expensive, and people are very unhappy when it ruins their vehicle and causes flat tires because the pavement's all broken. But at the same time, in this particular case, you had 2 projects that were incredibly critical, incredibly worthy of safety and life preservation. It meant that pavement preservation needed to go on the back burner for just a little bit.
Even with the first one that said they wanted to go with option 3, I touched both of my council members next to me. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
This smile, and actually a sense of wanting to have tears because it's been so much work.
I think we're all trying to be respected because the meeting wasn't over. So certainly we don't want to get in trouble for the great things they just did for us.
Thank God we are on the 5-year plan. Thank you, ADOT, and thank you to all the constituents that worked hard on this over the past 2 to 3 years, and actually former mayors, former council members, and again, the support from the county supervisors. Thank you very much for supporting this project. God bless, and thank you.
We have major issues in the funding of the state of Arizona, so we've got to come up with some resolutions. We have to be able to not decide which child is going to get that piece of bread, so eloquently displayed here today. But yeah, to hear them start to express their thinkings and the way that they were leading, it was everyone was getting a little bit close to the edge of the seat, and then finally we pushed it over the finish line, which is fabulous.
We're working to try to do something beneficial for the community, and that's where we stand. If it's good for us, particularly when you talk about lives lost on the road, had an accident turning into a deadly accident because there's a lack of time it takes to get to a person. So I think we did to the community a good service, following their footsteps.
We had Mayor Price in office, and then followed by Mayor Smith. Both of them have put a dedicated effort into attending every single transportation board meeting and working hard. And then they all involved the entire council and everyone in the city of Maricopa. So I had no doubt we'd get here. I'm very happy we've gotten here today. I was worried at times, but we're here, and I knew we would get here eventually.
Because they've broken the project into different phases, such as you have Riggs Road overpass, you have the 2 other intersections, and then you have the repavement project, and then you also have the widening project. Then you also have, as part of the I-10 widening, the Queen Creek overpass at 347. So there are a lot of pieces. I would suspect the repavement will be getting started soon. They're almost finished with the design.
This has been the hardest part to get the funding. The construction is actually easy. We've been through this with the overpass. It doesn't mean that there's not delays. It doesn't mean there's not challenges. And it does mean there will be frustrations. But when you figure it took us 15 to 20 years to get the funding for this, and then it's still got to go through a little bit of design, so we're looking at another 1.5 to 2 years out. But when that construction actually happens, that's what? 18 months, 2 years, 12 months, somewhere in there. And that's what we did with the overpass, and it was over before you know it. And now the fluidity of the way it works afterwards, you just kind of think, why didn't we do this from the beginning?
In the end, when it's all done, all is well.
Thank you. So, you know, this funding has been very difficult. Back in 2015, when we actually tried to do the overpass, the city came up with $15 million and got a Tiger grant for $35 million. ADOT, ever since that point, has consistently said, this is the way you get things done. It's called the Maricopa Way. When I started here, it was one of the first things I went to the 4 other supervisors. And again, God bless you and thank you for supporting this project with $20 million, because without this money, this probably wouldn't have happened. If you're wondering why I'm wearing an Izzy Calderon jersey and hat, it's because for the last 9 years, we've had a softball tournament. He is a correctional officer who's still laying in a hospital in a vegetated state, and he's a very close friend of mine. And for 9 years, I've been attending ADOT meetings, and every year I show up with a different jersey. And I wanted them to know that this is for him and all the other families that have had people pass away, their children, their husbands, their spouses. The bottom line is that this road doesn't only affect Maricopa. It affects people coming from Chandler, Gilbert, Tempe, who are going to go to Yuma, San Diego. So this road not just serves Maricopa, it serves the northern part of the valley who have to go on vacations. When that road shuts down, it shuts down for many, many hours. I've been stuck on it numerous times. So again, I want to thank the board for supporting me in this project, and everybody in the city of Maricopa, everybody who's attended all these meetings for the last 9-10 years we've been going to these. And again, I just want to thank everybody who supported this, because it's for you, and I'm just happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item number 4. I do have a short video, but I'm going to go first, then I'm going to have Dana come up and do her report, and then she can flow right into item number 5. So I don't know how many in this room were aware of the Ag to Urban bill that got signed and passed. This video I'm going to have them run is I call it the beginning. It was on December 9th, 2019, that I called a meeting of a number of people. So can we run that video? So everything we do here is for Pinal County. This is, the interest is not for any other reason other than the citizens of Pinal County and to have a viable economic model that will work for all of us. And that's, I think we've developed quite a cross-section of participants in here. If that's not what you want this group to do, you won't offend me if you don't participate. But I need everybody that participates in this to have Pinal County as their number one reason to set the agenda going forward. And that's just where I'm at with this thing. I don't want you to come and stick a flag in the dirt and say I'm not moving on anything, because I can tell you there's going to have to be some type of compromise at some level on certain things. But the future of Pinal County is dependent on us coming up with a solution. If this isn't, again, I'm going to emphasize, if that's not what you think this group should be doing, I'm going to ask you to just withdraw from the organization, and we will find somebody else, or we'll continue with whoever's left in this group. Again, I'm going to emphasize the state has given us the opportunity to come up with this solution. And nobody's going to get everything they want, but everybody's going to get something of what they want. And that's how we're going to proceed in this process. I think there will be outside forces. I don't think the neighbors to the north or the south of us want to see success. But I think failure is not an option. So we'd like to see this done in approximately a year, but whatever it takes to get it done is what we're going to do. And I'm looking for the commitment from everybody in this room. to participate in this. Thank you. First, I want to point out the two gentlemen that were sitting at the other table, Jake Lender King from Global Water and Bill Garfield from Arizona Water. The three of us were tasked with putting that group together. In that room that day, I don't believe there was an industry or business that wasn't represented. Everything from cotton, cattle, home building, industry, you name it, we had them there. Someday I'll come across the sign-in sheet, but it's very, very extensive, and that was what we wanted. It started because the Department of Water Resources and one of Governor Ducey's staffers came to me at a meeting one time and asked me to form that group. So we did, and I think that is an example of what even the founding fathers envisioned on how we would proceed in our process of resolving problems and issues all the way down to the grassroots. And there was a lot of work put in by a whole lot of people. Everybody in that room that day participated in ag to urban to getting passed. It took us 6 years from that date. We ran into COVID, like 4 or 5 months later. So a lot of things got interrupted, the flow. We ended up with a new governor, but the charge stayed focused on and coming up with a resolution for Pinal County moving forward. I thank every person in that room to this day for sticking with us and helping to resolve the issues that we had with the state of Arizona. What had happened is they had stopped issuing certificates of assured water. We now have a process that we can move forward for the future. And like I said, not everybody got what they wanted, but everybody got something they wanted. And that process is really worked out well. And I can't thank everybody enough. Bill Garfield had to step down because of medical issues. We filled that position with Terry Sue Rossi from Arizona Water. But the three of us, I'll tell you, worked many, many hours making phone calls, visiting politicians, going to the Department of Water Resources, going to the governor. And I thought what was interesting was even though we changed governors, the governor's Hobbs staff knew how important it was, and they reached out to me right away after they took office. So it was important that we resolve this for the state and for Pinal County. And so that's kind of the story that didn't get told in the paper, and I wanted to share that with everybody. I'm very pleased with how we all worked together to get a resolution. So outside of that, we had two other bills. We had one 2753 signed in. That was a key component to this ag to urban. I don't know what Senator Hoffman has against Pinal County, but there was a bill out there, 1134, that was a key component to this. So I didn't get the hat trick. I'm going to take a run on that bill again next year. We'll see if we can't find somebody that sees the benefit in Pinal County. Senator Hoffman obviously did not. So from there, and I think there's probably people in this room that helped me move that thing forward. So thank you, everyone. Dana, are you ready? Yes, sir. Okay.
Chairman Miller, members of the board, Dana Lewis, Pinal County Recorder, to give a brief legislative update along with Mr. Miller. Some statistics for you for this legislative session. 1,724 bills were introduced. 252 bills were signed into law, and 170 bills were vetoed, giving Governor Hobbs a new record. New laws affecting the Pinal County Elections Department and voter registration include new candidate campaign finance advance reporting periods, hand count audit procedures, county candidates in the clean election pamphlet. Justice of the Peace and constables may now use eQual. JP and constable signature requirements have changed. There are new cleanups to the recall procedures, and there is a new write-in deadline. With the budget sine died Friday, June 27th at approximately 1:21 p.m. That ended a 166-day session. New laws are effective Thursday, September 25th, 2025. This was a $17.6 billion state budget signed yesterday, July 1st. Some of the money was allocated to safety, money towards county jails, re-entry programs, drug smuggling and human trafficking, child care access and veteran homelessness, water futures and wildfire suppression and support, transportation. We're not done, though, because once you end one session, you get ready, you start gathering your information, and we'll be working on Title 16, 19, and 48, and working with the school superintendent, Jill Broussard, Assessor Douglas Wolf, and Treasurer Mike McCord ahead of the August 1st deadline with the Arizona Association of County Officials. That's all I have.
Okay. All right. I want to move on to item number 5.
Chairman Miller, Vice Chair McClure, Dana Lewis, Pinal County Recorder. Some updates in accordance with the Memorandum of Understanding. The Congressional District 7 special primary election had its first poll worker training this last Saturday in the Casa Grande Town Hall. We approximately trained 12 poll workers. It doesn't seem like a lot, but again, it's only 4 polling places, so we'll need under 40 poll workers. The last day to request an early ballot is July 7th. The hand count audit names from the party chairs are due to us on July 8th. We will draw on the 15th, and the task will be accomplished on the 16th. Makeup poll worker training is also July 8th at the Votes Building at 0900 hours. Applications to become a poll worker can be found at the pinal.gov/elections website. Reminder, polling place team selections are assigned based on a combination of party balance, experience, and proximity to your precinct. 7-11 is a busy day for us in the election world. Not only are political observer assignments due to us, it is also the last day to vote early in person. We strongly urge voters that have still holding on to that early ballot to deposit them in one of our ballot drop boxes. Drop boxes are located at 15 different locations. For this election, it is minimized because it is only about 4,000 voters who are participating. Active registrants participating in the CD7 primary are 3,653. We mailed out 1,598 ballots. We have received accepted 194. That puts us at under a 3% turnout for this election. Again, under a 3% turnout. We have 2 to be cured. That means if we've contacted you, it's not a spam call. That means your signature isn't matched and we need to have a conversation. Election day is July 15th. Polls open at 6 a.m. and they close at 7 p.m. We are precinct-based. Precincts 38, 53, 67, and 91 will be participating. Cure deadline is the 20th. Our post-election LNA is the 22nd, and we will canvass here with the county on the 23rd. Running into the Santan Valley election, so for those of you who haven't heard me speak about this multiple times, we're running more elections this year than we did during the 2024 presidential election year. And the CD7 primary, the Santan Valley Prop 495, and the CD7 general election all have overlap. So you're going to see a lot of activity in our places. We had 88 UCAVA ballots sent out, 621 for Prop 495. Sample ballots posted online right now, so if you have questions, please feel free to go to our website. Our internal LNA was accomplished June 27th. That's last Friday. Last day to register to vote for the upcoming STV Incorporation election is July 7th. Early ballots that'll be mailed out July 9th are 36,375. Last day to request an early ballot by mail is July 25th. Last day to vote early in person, August 1st. Election day is August 5th. Cure deadline is the 10th. Our county canvass for that election is August 18th. All of these dates, we try to at least tell you guys about these 3 times because it typically takes 3 times to contact somebody to have top-of-mind awareness. These can all be found on the elections or the votes website or social media pages. Following up with re-precincting, July 2nd today is the last day that we are going to allow by close of business any public comments so that we can prepare that information for our August 13th work session with the Board of Supervisors. We will then present all findings and adjusted maps on September 17th to the Board of Supervisors. Other notables, voters that are affected by the motor vehicle department glitch have received letters. There are over 12,000 voters that have received this. Here's the great news. They are coming back in droves. We are receiving between 40 to 100 documented proof of citizenships every day at the voter registration department. This is a state law. This is not something that we just came up with, and we understand that it is negatively affecting people. If you have questions about this, we request that you reach out. If you're not sure about the notice that you've received from any of the recorder departments, please contact us at extension 6830. The CD7 general election, again, want to tell people to be looking forward, is September 23rd. The jurisdictional all-mail elections will happen on November 4th. Those ballots are going to go out the 8th. Here's something for a feather in our cap that we're really pretty proud of in the elections department. First revision for the Pinal County Elections Department standard operating procedures was completed yesterday, July 1st. It is over 750 pages long. When we asked the team to go in and really tell me what you do every day, they understood the assignment, gentlemen, and man, did they knock it out of the park. We will, of course, keep on top of our SOPs, though. So as we go through legislative sessions, the elections procedure manual, we have changes in allocations of funds or, the policy changes, we're going to stay on top of that every 6 months. And then members of the Elections Department and Recorder's Office attended the Election Officials of Arizona Conference the 16th through the 18th. It was really great. They were able to attend educational services and scenarios. And then on the 19th, because, we're not busy, we then jumped into the first ever tabletop exercise. And I want to thank Corey Redden. She is the emergency manager in our county, and she's amazing, hands down, working with her through our elections and then the tabletop exercise. We were able to bring on county representatives, area stakeholders, and practice our crisis response to simulated worst case scenarios. And we will actually have an official report that we'll be able to present to you. Right now, Pinal County has approximately 608 UOCAVA voters, and 24 of those, or 88 of those, have received ballots. And any questions in regards to our processes, either go to the Pinal County Elections website or contact the Citizen Contact Center. For Santan Valley's upcoming proposition to incorporate, there are areas of those precincts that may not be affected by the incorporation. If you have any questions, if you should be voting in that election, don't hesitate to reach out. That's why we're here. Or contact the Citizen Contact Center, 520-509-3555. They have the ability to let you know if you should be voting in that election or not. Gentlemen, I will stand for questions.
Any questions?
Quick question.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman. The UOCAVA voters, I saw an article the other day. Yeah, I see the eye roll. The UOCAVA voters that have never lived in the state, what does that affect?
I had that there. That's why I almost ran into it. Chairman Miller, Vice Chair McClure, that in our county, again, we have about 608 UOCAVA voters. There are 24 in Pinal County that have never resided in the United States. They're between the ages of 18 and I think it's 28, typically dependents. But again, it's one of the things that when they fill out the form, they check a box that says that they have never resided here. So we're able to obtain that information rather quickly.
So then do they get removed from the voter?
No, that's not what the law says, sir.
Oh, I thought that was a constitutional issue. That's why it was.
They're looking at that right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, Dana.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hopefully everybody got all that. Okay, brings us to item number 6. I see a gentleman walking up here. I bet he wants to speak to us. And you are, shame on, introduce yourself.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Scott Hamilton, and I'm the new Director of Open Space, Trails, and Regional Parks.
I have two names here. I didn't know.
And we do have Jasmine with us as well. Okay. I'm thrilled to be here to celebrate July as Parks and Recreation Month. In Pinal County, our residents and visitors have access to a wide variety of parks, trails, and outdoor recreation opportunities. We're home to 5 state parks, 4 wilderness areas, 3 national monuments, 2 national forests, and the Arizona National Scenic Trail. On top of that, we also provide various neighborhood and community park opportunities. Currently, we have 1 regional park, Peralta, with more to come in the future. And we manage approximately 60 miles of regional non-motorized multi-use trails. These resources combined provide opportunities for our residents and visitors to enjoy outdoor recreation, find respite from the rigors of our daily lives, spend time with family and friends, and discover new adventures. We also provide a variety of educational programming. This is one of the ways that we connect the people to the resources. And with the summer heat, our theme for July is Bringing the Outdoors In, where we offer programming throughout the county on topics such as desert tortoises, birding, flora and fauna, and how to be a nature detective. For more information or to sign up for any of those programs, you can go to pinal.gov/calendar and click on Open Space Trails and Regional Parks. And thank you again, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, for having us here today. And we will, at the end, have our summer intern, as Supervisor Surdy mentioned, with our interns this summer, come forward and read the proclamation.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Hamilton at this time? Okay, then the board's pleasure. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item 6 as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Who would like to read this proclamation? Please
Good
introduce
morning.
yourself.
Board of Supervisors, Jasmine Gann, I'm the one listed there. I thought this would be a great opportunity for our intern who's been working with us to speak.
Okay.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. I'm Isabella Siverly, the Open Space Trails and Regional Park Summer Intern, and I'll be reading the proclamation for you.
Very good.
Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Pinal County, promoting health, wellness, and time spent in nature. Whereas Parks and Recreation positively impacts mental health, cognitive performance, and well-being, alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for outdoor recreation, popular sports, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation programming and educational activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, and environmental education are critical to childhood development. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas Parks and Recreation provides adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas Pinal County recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Pinal County Board of Supervisors that July is recognized as Park and Recreation Month. In Pinal County, and do hereby command the Pinal County Open Space Trails and Regional Parks Department for the profound and enduring impacts as they consistently make in our community. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Don't run off. I believe we get a photo op of this. Where'd Kevin go? Oh, there he is. He's okay. Come up front. Guys, let's go down there.
Okay. Do what I'm told. Like being at home. And here we go. Looking here. 3, 2. I'm going to do one more. You look so nice today. 3, 2. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, brings us to item number 7, Purchasing Division Report. Ms. Gorman?
Good morning, Chairman Miller, Vice Chair McClure, and Board of Supervisors. My name is Tracy Gorman. I'm Purchasing Manager for Pinal County, and this is the Purchasing Division Report for July 2nd, 2025. In this report, the Board is requested to approve 3 contract awards for RFP 260126 for legal publication services, RFP 251830 for night vision equipment, awarding to 9 vendors, IFB 253830, less lethal duty ammunition and practice ammunition, we're awarding to 12 vendors. The Board is requested to approve 5 contract amendments for RFP 220726, Public Health Clinic Services, ROQ 226327, JOC for Housing Electrical Installation, Repair, Renovation, and Replacement, ROQ 226527, JOC for Housing Roofing Installation, Repair, Renovation, and Replacement, IFB 240328, for pavement maintenance materials, IFB 250529 for aggregate, slurry, and Portland cement. We would like to exclude contract amendment number 5 for RFP 244129 for inmate communications from this purchasing division report. We are requesting the Board approve 1 amendment to a competition in practical over $100,000 per Procurement Code Section PC 1-502. There is 1 purchase order change that requires your approval, and there are 2 cooperative purchasing agreements we would like to notify you of, as they are over $100,000 and up to $250,000. And lastly, we are seeking approval of a cooperative purchase requisitions over $250,000. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Have any questions?
Any questions of the Purchasing Division Report? Board's pleasure.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchasing department as read.
We should have to say amendment number.
Sure. With the amendment, recommendation, approve the purchasing division report as presented, except for the contract amendment number 5.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. So as I mentioned, we are going to take item number 19 now, which will require us to go into exec session. Can I get a motion to go into exec session?
Mr. Chair, I move we recess the regular Board of Supervisors meeting and convene the executive session.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back at some point.
A couple days.
Right. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Brings us to item number 8, which has a public hearing component to it. Ms. Woods and Mary Ellen, I think, are listed as the presenters. This is a resolution adopting our county budget for 25-26.
Good afternoon, Chairman. It is exactly noon. Members of the board, Angie Woods, I'm the Director of the Office of Budget and Finance. And before you, I have an agenda item, as you stated, to hold a public hearing and to approve the fiscal year 25-26 final budget and the final version of the 25-26 employee compensation plan. And really, I only have one slide for you this morning. The slide is exactly the same as the 2 weeks ago during our tentative budget. This is a pie chart depicting the Auditor General's prescribed Schedule A. It's really showing us the capacity that we have budgeted by funding type. So 38% of our funding type is our general fund. 37% special revenue, 21% capital projects, and then obviously 4% in the enterprise and debt service. So with that, I did want to touch on that this final budget does include a decrease in property tax. Our primary property tax, as I discussed 2 weeks ago, goes from $3.45 down to $3.30. 6.3 cents. Our flood control district goes from 0.1693 to 0.1620. Our library district goes from 0.0913 to 0.0890. Additionally, all general fund budget requests have been included in our total budget. However, we are still processing each of those requests. Once my office has collected all of the data to support each of those requests, and we've been able to analyze those requests, approval will be sought by this board to allocate those funds to the departments that are requesting. So agenda items will follow. Are there any questions?
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Woods? Okay. Ready to open the public hearing? I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody from the public want to opine on this item? Mr. Reveles?
Roberto Reveles, resident of Gold Canyon. Mr. Chairman, a general question. I have not really taken the time to examine each of the items in the proposed budget, but in light of the fact that the budget at the federal level has not yet been approved, and a budget that provides Arizona as the highest consumer of federal tax revenue, it just opens the question, how can we be assured that the source of revenues on which this budget is based will actually be a reality?
Okay. Does anybody, Angie, can you address that at any kind of level?
Chairman, members of the board, to answer Mr. Reveles' question, the budget is built upon federal dollars that have already been assigned. However, once we receive any changes to those, we can bring those items back to you and amend this budget to reduce that spending.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Mr. Reveles? I mean, we can amend if we find dollars not coming or we're notified that they're not available, we will have to amend our budget, and we'll just have to bring it back before the Board of Supervisors, and the request will be from the Finance Department to amend it downward.
That's correct. Thank you, Chairman.
And Mr. Chair, just a quick comment that when we set the budget, it's always the limit, and that's the ceiling. It's not ever going to exceed that. Well, it's not going to exceed that, but we can always come down. And you mentioned that in the review of different items as well.
Chairman Miller, Vice Chair McClure, that's absolutely correct. We did set the ceiling, and the ceiling at the tentative budget to this final adopted budget has not changed, but you're absolutely correct. We can reduce that at any given time.
Okay. I think that's as good as we can answer. Go ahead. Come on up, Mr. Revelis. Happy to try and answer your question.
And again, I'm trying to help build confidence by my fellow taxpayers, because we've experienced that there have been federal funds that were previously allocated by the federal government and which were frozen by an action by the president. And so, again, hopefully there are backup assurances. And I would suggest, from my experience of 24 years working in the Congress, that members of Congress that represent Arizona ought to be more engaged by this body to urge them to protect the source of revenue that the taxpayers are counting on. So again, I'm not wanting to be a stumbling block to discussion, but just trying to help encourage the board to use the resources that you have of having good communications with especially the Republican members of Arizona's congressional delegation.
Well, we'll look, if Ms. Woods has items that has to be brought before us, I personally will make an effort to talk to our delegation about it.
And I'm sure that there are members of the public that would be more than willing to reinforce your approaches to the congressional delegation from Arizona. Okay. Because my experience was that those are meaningful communications from the public within the Congress itself. So appreciate the time that you've given me to express those concerns.
Absolutely, and it's a valid concern, so thank you.
And Mr. Chair, may I make one more comment?
Sure.
To those concerns of Mr. Revelis, we have to approve those funds, even if we don't get them. But if we don't approve them ahead of time, then we can't receive them in the future. So that's part of this whole process.
And I spoke to one of our congressmen this last week, and had some of that conversation, because it is kind of an unknown out there. So, anyone else from the public want to comment on our resolution for our 25-26 budget? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the 25-26 budget as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, did it need to be a roll call? It did not.
It's okay. It's not required.
Not required. Okay. Sometimes it is. Okay. Get to the right page here. Okay, brings us to item number 9, which is the consent agenda. So all items indicated by an asterisk will be handled as a single vote as part of the consent agenda, unless the board member, county manager, or a member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called, and we would pull it. Does anybody from the board have anything they want pulled?
C.
C?
C.
C is in cat?
Cat. Mr. Cat.
Okay, anyone else? Any manager? From the public. Anybody from the public want anything pulled from the consent items, consent agenda?
Item A-Y.
A-Y? Anyone else? Okay, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the consent items A through BD minus item C and item AY.
I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Item C. Oh, a couple people. Who's presenting on item C? What do we have here?
They're just two appointments.
Those the appointments?
They're two appointments, yeah. We want to
Okay.
recognize them.
Okay. You want to do that?
Serdy, you want to go first, or I'll go first?
Yeah, I have Maxine Brown. She's on a couple of my committees, but this particular one is, which one is this, Natasha?
She's
It's your TAC, it's your
Oh, yeah, the
Transportation
TAC.
Advisory.
Yeah, we have the yearly meeting of TAC. She's also on transportation for me as well. So,
Okay. I've known Maxine a long time.
yeah.
She's always helping
She used
out.
to be,
I appreciate that.
Used to be Miss CAG.
Oh, that's right.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to also, for my Transportation Advisory Committee, I'd like to reappoint Robin Davis, who's been with us and also is on another committee of mine. But Robin's here today, and she's been doing a great job for the past year or two, and she continues to do a great job. So I want to make sure that we recognize her today for my Transportation Advisory Committee. Thank you, Robin.
Okay. So now can we get a motion to accept those appointments?
Mr. Chair, I nominate. I'd like to approve item C with Robin Davis and Maxine Brown for their two advisory committees that we've appointed them to.
Second.
Chairman, I'm sorry, if I may, because item C does have 3 different appointees, only 2 are in attendance. If we can just approve item C as presented.
That would be better.
Okay, I'll re-amend that. I will approve item C as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, ladies, for stepping up. We appreciate it.
Pictures?
Pictures?
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin, is he out there?
They sat through all that executive session, so they deserve
Okay,
a picture.
they get their picture taken, for sure. Okay, I'm just trying to get to A1.
Are we going to go up down there or just them?
Is it just them?
Oh,
So just let them.
We can just,
Photo bomb. Maxine, come on up.
I thought I recognized her.
Pay attention back there. Okay.
I'll show you the top of my bald head.
Do it.
Flash. Flash
And
back.
looking here, nice smiles, 3, 2. We're going to do one more.
Hold up your hand like this, behind their ears, behind their head.
Do they?
And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is the sheriff here, Ross?
Yeah, he's back there.
Okay, brings us to item AY, which is a resolution to the auction PCS and PCSO authorizing the submission of a grant application. Ross? Yeah.
What, did he have a particular question?
The question, Mr. Reveles, the question?
Again, Mr. Chairman, not really a question, but a rhetorical question. I fully support equipping our law enforcement with whatever necessary equipment they need.
Okay.
But also, as a civil libertarian, I must comment that my question would be concern about the increasingly apparent transition of our community policing into a militarized sense of using vehicles that we've seen used, armored vehicles, in enforcing our deportation projects that are underway from the federal government. And so my question would be, rhetorically, do you anticipate that any of these vehicles or safety equipment will be used indiscriminately by what we see happening in other jurisdictions of people being disappeared by masked, unidentified law enforcement agencies cooperating with local enforcement agencies? And I would hope that the answer is that there is not, despite our 387G agreement with the federal government, that these vehicles and the equipment we're talking about will not be used to disappear American citizens and residents off of Arizona's streets. Okay. So it's an expression of concern primarily, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate your indulgence.
Okay. I'll let the sheriff, if he wants to add any explanation to it, but I see this as an application for a grant. Doesn't mean we're going to get the grant, if I read these correctly. And but you have, I mean, I'm sure you have justification for putting in for this grant.
Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors, Pinal County, I don't know all to unpack everything from that rhetorical question, but I can tell you as far as this grant goes, it's kind of tied to the grant above that. We all want safer roads, and so we want DUI enforcement, but we also want vehicle crimes investigated. And so the majority of this grant is going to a vehicle crimes equipped van that has all the equipment, the drones and everything like that, and the barricades, so we keep the investigators safe and the scene safe while we're investigating vehicle crimes. And then also our community relations unit is asking for a trailer and a side-by-side. There's a lot of these events. We'll include Country Blunder in this, that there's a lot of places they have to go that they can't walk to, so a side-by-side assists them in getting the equipment and the material they need to a different area in a public event.
Okay. That sounds like good use of that,
yes, sir,
of a piece of equipment like that. Should we get it?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a motion on AY?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve consent item AY as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you, everyone. We're going to recess the Board of Supervisors meeting and open up the public health meeting. If I can get to the public health portion. There we go. Okay. First item is consent items. All items indicated by an asterisk will be handled as a single vote as part of the consent items unless a board member or county manager or a member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. So for the Pinal County Public Health Services District Board of Directors meeting, does anybody want anything pulled from the consent items? Anybody from the county manager? Anybody from the public? Seeing none, board's pleasure.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve consent items A and B on the public health agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. I'm going to adjourn the Pinal County Public Health Services District Board meeting and reopen up the Board of Supervisors meeting for July 2nd. Brings us to item number 11, which is a call to the public. Does anybody from the public want to speak to the Board of Supervisors? Sure. Mr. Velez?
Roberto Ravelis, resident of Gold Canyon. Mr. Chairman, I was encouraged in a way by comments earlier about referencing stupid motorist laws, stupid hiker laws, suggesting that we ought to perhaps consider stupid legislator laws by what we're witnessing happening under the big, beautiful budget bill under consideration in the Congress. And it's a crisis that underscores the chaos created by executive orders freezing of federal funds that we've experienced. A collapsing of governance being rushed through the process by compliant legislators. A catastrophic proposal that reduces taxes for a few billionaires by taking away health care, education, food assistance from ordinary low-income and middle-class working families here in Arizona and Pinal County, while driving up the public debt by at least $4 trillion. It's a draconian budget proposal that undermines confidence in a federal administration that provides Arizona the 10th highest source of federal revenues to any of the 50 states. A big, ugly bill that weakens public confidence in today's expected approval of the budget and just raises more questions than answers. A chaotic budget that creates public doubt, as I raised in the budget consent item AY. But federal chaos that's reflected also in item 6, a proclamation touting Parks and Recreation Month, even as the big, beautiful bill in Washington threatens the possibility of federal fund sale of lands that affect parks and monuments that create Arizona's attraction as a tourist state based on those federal lands. So I'm just concerned that there is a need for us to go slow on how we react to the lack of a budget bill still pending in the Congress. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that wants to speak on call to the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll close item number 11. Move this to item number 12, which does have a public hearing component to it. It's a resolution on 2025 SUP 007-23.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Patrick Zaire Roberts, Senior Planner here, presenting case SUP 00723. Before we jump into this, I'm going to go ahead and hand out a supplemental material to Natasha for your distribution.
Okay.
This is a map that a member of the Board of Supervisors had requested, kind of outlining the total support and opposition that we've seen in the surrounding areas as of today's numbers. And it is within a 5-mile radius, as we did receive some percentage of opposition and support from outside the state and local area of this case's consideration. Ultimately, we'll get into these letters of support and opposition and their positions later on in the presentation.
Okay.
So we're going to kind of recap and kind of summarize this fairly expedited. This is a special use permit request to allow for a commercial kennel in a property on the SR's Suburban Ranch Zoning District. The property in question is 3.3 acres in size and is located at 49641 West Jean Drive in Maricopa. The applicant is Rennell Abbott and Jason Sanks, and the property is within Supervisor District 1. A map showing the location within the county. The property in question on Jean Drive. An aerial map showing the location of the property and surrounding neighborhood. The notification area for the site. An image looking north from the property, south towards the property, east and west, and a site plan of the layout of the kennel facility. So this property is one of 5 similar existing commercial kennels proposed during the Planning Commission SUP action during the January 18th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The property is located amongst other properties with rural and agricultural uses and animal husbandry operations. The commercial kennel use is existing and does not present impact to public health, safety, and welfare. The proposed SUP is compliant with standards of the SR zoning district. The SUP approval shall make compatible the existing use with surrounding land uses. The property features improvements to accommodate the kennel use. There's been no proposed change in the 9-year-old operation as presented on the property. And the applicant was proactive in seeking to resolve code compliance violations on the property as presented. The applicant has identified a business niche and architectural need within the community. As of today, staff has received 42 letters of opposition. These are discussing issues of increased noise and nuisance, instances of escaped dogs at large, business uses requiring 5 acres of minimum lot size typically for kennel uses, violation of terms of the Pinal County Animal Control Kennel Permit, an increased amount of traffic in the neighborhood and on neighbors' property, diminution of property values, adherence to CCNRs, inclusion of 10 neighbors presenting a petition to the special use permit. For the support, we've received 132 letters as of today, discussing the ethical operations, facilities cleanliness, and quiet operations of the facility, and support of a family business, and community engagement of the Abbott family as points of consideration. So we previously discussed this case at the March 20th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, whereby a recommended approval motion of 9-1 was issued for case SCP-00723 with 11 stipulations, On May 28th, the Board of Supervisors remanded SCP-00723 back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for consideration of 10 revised stipulations, which were not previously reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and by action of the Board of Supervisors, the item was returned back to the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 19th, where they reviewed SCP-00723 with a vote of 8-0 to recommend approval of 11 stipulations, including revisions to stipulation 4, 6, 8, and 11. Those stipulations, I'll go ahead and read those stipulations into the record for clarity. Stipulation 1, the special use permit is issued to the land and shall be binding on the property owner from the date of the Board of Supervisors' approval. Stipulation 2, approval of the special use permit SUP will require that the applicant, owner, developer submit and secure from the applicable and appropriate federal, state, and county and local regulatory agencies all required applications, plans, permits, supporting documentation, and approvals necessary for its operation. 3, signage on the site shall not be permitted. 4, the number of adult dogs allowed on the property shall be limited to 7 at any time. 5, A 7-foot-high metal and wood fence as depicted in the attached picture of the existing fence shall be constructed by the property owner in accordance with any building setback standards in the Pinal County Development Services Code and completed within 4 months of the approval of the SP along the property line abutting their neighbor's property at 12330 North White Road. 6, all dogs in the property shall be housed and maintained inside kennels by 9 p.m. on a daily basis, except that the dogs shall be brought into their kennels during daylight hours for a minimum of 3 hours. 7, the applicant shall take appropriate and necessary measures to mitigate any excessive barking, such as the use of bark collars, use of insulation or other materials to reduce the level of sound from kennels, so as to avoid disturbing the peace and quiet of another person with excessive barking without cause, i.e. no outside animal intrusion onto the property. Excessive barking shall be defined as frequent intermittent barking of more than 15 minutes or sustained barking of more than 15 minutes in the early morning prior to 5 a.m. or late at night after 10 p.m. 8, a current valid license from the Pinal County Animal Care and Control shall be maintained at all times while the dog kennel is operational, accepting only a 30-day lapse unless the lapse is caused by Pinal County. 9, an action to revoke the SP shall be initiated by the zoning inspectors or code compliance officer's determination that the property does not meet or is not in compliance with any of the stipulations of approval pursuant to Pinal County Development Services Code 2.1511010. V, a notice shall be sent to the property owner and or leasee of the property covered by the SP requiring compliance with the conditions of approval within 15 calendar days. Upon failure to comply with the specified time period, the supervisors, after notification by certified mail to the property owner and or leasee of the property covered by the SP, shall schedule and hold a public hearing to determine if the special use complies with the conditions of approval and for possible action. The supervisors may extend the time for compliance or approve or deny the revocation with or without conditions. 10, the property owner and or leasee of the property and or operator of the kennel shall allow Pinal County employees to enter upon the property upon request for purposes of inspections to ensure compliance with these conditions of approval, which entry shall not be deemed a trespass. And 11, if there's any change in the property ownership or licensee after the SP is approved by the Board of Supervisors, then the SP shall become null and void. On the effective date of the transfer of property ownership, parcel 510-630100, the current owners, Byers Abbott Family Living Trust, Russell C. and Michelle S. Byers trustees, shall notify Pinal County at least 30 calendar days prior to the property ownership change or change of licensee by way of certified United States mail, return receipt requested and sent to the following address. Attention, Pinal County Development Services, copied Clerk of the Board, P.O. Box 827, Florence, Arizona, 85132. At this point, does the board have any questions of staff?
Any questions?
No. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Can you go back to the first stipulation? I just want to clarify for myself. It was just a perm to the land. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Of Audrey, I will in a minute. Is she here? Did she leave?
I believe she's here in attendance and available to answer questions.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
is this a question on the presentation side?
Yeah, just because he was talking about some of the complaints, and I just one of them was violations of animal control. Is there outstanding? Has there been violations, or are they outstanding? Or
not on this property? No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
We got one barking complaint, I want to say, in 2018, but nothing since then.
Okay, all right. That's what I just want a clarification of that.
Hold on, Chairman. Audra, I need you to address the animal control discussion of the zoning clearance related to the following that was back in 2014, please.
Okay. In 2014, I was an animal control officer. I was not the director, nor was I in management. So I personally did not have any part of that discussion. My area was the north. Kay Dixon was the director at that time, and I am not exactly sure what that discussion was.
Okay, so back then, the discussion, from what I was told by Development Services, that if there is you need to actually have a zoning clearance from, basically speaking with Development Services. So since 2014 to today, that discussion has never been brought up again?
With Community Development Services, yeah. We do talk to them. and we do have discussions. The part for us is just basically if they comply with our procedures and policies of the animals and how they're cared for. We do not have anything to do with community development's
But
policies.
if you're going to do a zoning clearance, doesn't Development Services need to know this?
Yes.
That you're actually doing it?
Yes.
So you
But-
do have to communicate with them?
Yes.
Okay.
And we do.
That's, okay, so based on what I've been told by management, that has not been happening, but we can get into that later. And then the other thing is, do people get to read when they come apply for something? Do they read the actual code that is written?
I'm not sure if
Okay.
they read it or not.
Okay, I guess I'll ask the applicant for that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Am I good?
There's a lot more we need to go over, but do we want the applicant to come up first, or?
Well, is there a presentation by the applicant? There is? Okay, then the presentation from the applicant can come up now. And then I will open the public hearing after this portion of it.
Good afternoon, Chair and Board of Supervisors. I'm Jason Sanks, assisting the Abbotts, their application, address 3500 South Chicana, Gilbert 85297. I'll keep this brief. I believe you guys want to do a bit of a deep dive on licensing, and I'll defer to Shell Abbott, who can speak on that more clearly. I just wanted to provide some context, and if I may, put some kind of bumpers on this, because this has turned into a bit of a neighborhood food fight, if you will, and I want to spare the board 3 hours of that sort of testimony that we had at P&Z on the second round. We are grateful to the P&Z for taking that time, even with quite the large crowd from Encantera sitting in the wings for the next item after us, where we thoroughly washed, rinsed, and repeated these steps with great care to get where we're at today. And if you'll note, we did pick up a vote. We initially had almost unanimous support in May, but now we do have unanimous support from P&Z after that exercise. So we're here today after nearly 10 hours of public hearing. This is a perspective aerial. You can see the Abbott's property as there. It's not been any secret that their property has been very well kept. I do want to reiterate that the Abbott's, when they were made aware that a special use permit would be required, they came directly to the county. They also engaged with myself. I've been working with the Abbott's for now 3 years on this application, and we are in front of the board as quickly as we could be. We've definitely dotted our I's and crossed our T's at this point, and certainly there's some lack of clarity as to when did animal control know that CPs were required, land development, community development versus animal control. We're grateful to animal control. They've done a great job. They can attest that the properties are well maintained. The Abbotts didn't know about SUPs, except that in 2008, Renelle Abbott had spoken with community development, and she was told there were no requirements for an SUP at that time. I believe Pinal County has adopted a new code since then, and they weren't aware of it. So you can see here, I just want to say that, let me summarize the neighborhood involvement. There are now 392 signatures of petition of support and 71 specifically written letters of support for this project. The great majority of the neighbors of both properties do support this case. It's obvious that the Birds who are here in attendance do not support this case. The Birds property backs to the Abbott's property. They have quite a bit of outdoor storage, as you can see, storage sheds. Their own home is actually towards White Road. Their access is on White Road. The Abbotts take access on Jean Drive. The Abbotts really just want to be left alone. They're going to extend their fence all the full length of the property. We have a number of stipulations to continue to address a really non-existent problem. There are perceived impacts and there are literal impacts. The literal impacts are few. There are not dogs getting out. There are not dogs barking their heads off. There are not dogs scaling fences and walls. That doesn't exist. I just want to clarify it. It doesn't exist. They've had one complaint for barking in 2018. I think you can imagine where that call came from. And any other complaints have all originated from the Birds property. The Abbotts would like to not be filmed by their neighbors, who attested at the P&Z hearing. He has thousands of videos of them. It's a little strange, but I did reach out to the Birds last week. As an olive branch, the Abbotts would really like to move forward. They seek your approval. They want to continue their business as they've been running very responsibly for 8 years and 31 years on the other property. They want to make peace with the Birds and just live and let live, clean their own side of the street, and move on. Next slide, please. These properties are very clean. They're very well maintained. The number of dogs that they have, this is not a puppy mill. We don't have 70 dogs. We're talking like 7 dogs, which they're agreeing to limit to adult age. They want to make sure that it's clear with German Shepherds, that means 24 months or older. The fences are maintained in excellent condition. The Abbotts will work with the Burrs for any portions of the fence that are in poor maintenance. We're not aware of where those places might be. The Shepherds wear bark collars when needed, and they are safe around children. In fact, they're always around even the Abbotts' own children in the yard. Next slide. The Abbotts have done their homework. They have been out in the community. They have been in the community for years. They're community leaders, especially in this industry. Like I said, they've got nearly 400 signatures of support. A lot of this neighborhood simply wants to know why are they even being put through this at this point. So we're here today seeking your support. I have another slide. You've already heard the conditions of approval. You've already spent a couple hours with this case at that prior meeting, and I'm happy to answer questions and also introduce Shell Abbott, who you've spoken with before.
Questions?
Yes. So you had mentioned previous and many, many times about the bark collars. You state now that when needed, before they always wear bark collars, is what I've been listening to. Then when I came out to the property, the dogs had no bark collars. All 7 dogs had no bark collars. Okay? So that's the first issue I have. Then just as recently as June 27th, 26th, an article was written, and none of the dogs have bark collars on. It's another issue I have. In the same article, there's dogs with no bark collars. So that's another issue I have. And then there's several other photos that are taken from their website with no bark collars. I have all those here. So part of my issue with is the consistency of what has been said and what has been done. But one of the ones I want to get into first is, have you read the code?
I can't read it from
here.
here.
No. Have you read the code in general to help them with this case?
Of course. The special use permit code?
No, yes. No. The original Pinal County Animal Control Code. Have you read that?
I have not read the Animal Control Code. Not for the special use permit, sir.
No. I'm not talking about the special use. I'm talking about the Animal Code Control Code. So in that code, it mentions, especially for Class 4, because you're a commercial business, which we're going to get into in other parts of this testimony that I'm making, that they've applied for commercial, non-commercial. We went through this already. But as of today, no one has read the Animal Control Code, but you're asking for a kennel license that's going to be commercial, but you haven't read the code. I think that's an issue that's really, really important here. You've applied for one in 2018 for a non-commercial kennel license, but you're having a business on the property, which would make it commercial, not non-commercial. Let alone, you just stated again that this has been going on for 30 years. The problem is, the first time you've ever applied for a kennel license was in 2016. So you've been running illegal for 30 years. Based on 2016, you just stated that you had a kennel. You've been running this business since 30 years from now, which would make it roughly, 96?
4.
Okay, 94. So, but you've never had a license back then for commercial or non-commercial, and it's been in our code ever since.
Chairman and Supervisor Vitello, we're talking about 2 separate items. One is the special use permit to allow a commercial kennel. That's a separate issue, if I may speak to what you said.
Sure.
And the second item was getting into the nuances of commercial licensing with animal control versus residential licensing. I would need to defer to Shell on that. They have complied, and I believe Animal Control is here, who has been over this for quite some time to discuss whether or not they've been properly licensed. My understanding was that the proper licensing on the animal control side has been maintained, with the exception of there was 1 month lapse a few years ago, and that's kind of where we're at today. There was just 1 lapse. Now, whether they've toggled between residential and commercial, my understanding is it's based on the number of dogs, and they go out and they inspect and they see the number of dogs, and then they issue the license that's appropriate to the number of dogs. That's what was explained to us by Animal Control. So if I'd like them to perhaps provide some additional color on that, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. And then separately, Renelle is here. She's the property over on Val Vista. That's been since 1994. Shell was raised there, and then she bought property 2.5 miles away, and that's where the second SUP is on Jean Drive. So 31 years on Val Vista, 9 years on Jean. So that's what I've got, and then I would defer to Shell on nuances of annual licensing, if I may.
Okay, but like I'm stating is that in the past, you've had to have a kennel license for commercial, all right? I'm not talking about the SUP. You're trying to seek an SUP. But what I'm getting at is if you're running a business for 30 years, and our code, let's even say the last 10, 15 years, they haven't been compliant based on the fact that in 16 was the first time they ever applied for a kennel license. That's what I'm getting at. On both properties, actually 17 or 18 was the first time for the Jean Drive. Then you also just want to keep going. You also made a statement that the dogs never get away. Now, I have text messages from Russ to his neighbor stating that the dogs have gotten out. Can we come check in your backyard? Then there's another one that comes in and says, your sister-in-law's dogs have gotten out with the puppies, and obviously if they've gotten out, then, again, all the statements I'm going by are all factual, documented, of stuff you've said previously and in the past, but I have text messages from Russ stating the dogs never get out, but here they are, there's text messages going to the neighbor that the dogs are out and puppies are out. Now, why are puppies out at the house that they're not supposed to be having a kennel license? They don't have a kennel license, let alone the SUP, which obviously hasn't been granted. Some of the other facts here that I also want to mention that I did make a mistake. I am going to stand by that there was 15, I made a mistake. There was actually 7 between code compliance and animal control total, 7 complaints total, okay? Those are all documented. So I do want to apologize for my mistake. I'm human, I make mistakes. But the stuff that I really want to get into, so also when you went to build your kennel back in 2018, it's non-commercial. If you're running a business, you need a commercial license. You're signed to build a building with a non-commercial. Again, I'm just going by what our code says and what you have going on. Then there is, sorry, got to get my glasses on. We went over the bar collars. And then also, I visited the property, like I said, and none of the dogs had bar collars, which has been stated numerous times, if you watch the videos over and over again, that the dogs wear bar collars. No, they don't. I've shown pictures. The other thing is I had Shell, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, come to my office, and I was more than welcome. She didn't unannounce. She came to the office. I was more than happy to sit, listen, and learn and hear the story. She then, at that particular time, exact words were, claimed ignorance about the business, states she does not keep adequate business records, and Jason, yourself, you're representing her. I got a big problem with all that. If you're not keeping adequate information, how we know that regardless of how many stipulations there are, how do I know that they're going to follow the stipulations if this is approved by us? So again, I have consistent issues with statements being made on tape, coming to my office and admitting to it. I'm finding it really hard to believe a lot of the statements that have been made. And if there's anybody, if they'd like to come up and address the text messages, the bark collars, the zoning situation, have they ever read the code that is there when you apply for something, which I'm assuming when you're applying for something, you've read the code. And also, just to let you know that I myself, this is not personal. I am following code. I am following what is going on in my district and other districts, because I'll be just the same way in other districts. this is not personal to me. If this was personal to me, I just want to mention that his business is, very important to me because, matter of fact, I've just approved in my own HOA, I have approved his company to paint our fencing. So I'm trying to make sure that everybody understands here, this is not personal. This is factual stuff here, okay? So I just want to let you know that. So I'm more than happy to hear about the text messages, the photos, the bark collars, the zoning. Did they read it? I'm more than happy to hear everything that's there.
Certainly, and I'll address part of that through the chair. Supervisor Vitello, when I talked about the dogs getting out, I'm aware of 2 instances. A puppy got out a few years ago, and it made its way to the Burst property. There was no other incident with that puppy. There was another incident that you're talking about where a dog got out, and I believe there was some text messaging. What's been characterized over 10 hours of testimony in front of the camera is that there's packs of dogs roaming the neighborhood, terrorizing the residents. We've had a few people say, we're worried about these dogs. There are wild dogs out there, or dogs that are loose that are running around. And I wanted to clarify that there's a difference between the German Shepherds that the Abbotts own and the other dogs that are running around. There's no packs of dogs.
I never mentioned that because, to me, that's irrelevant to me.
But that's what I stated in my presentation to you. You brought this up after my presentation. So I'm just addressing what you said was my testimony was in relationship to the presentations we've heard prior, that there's these packs of dogs in the neighborhood, and they're trying to associate that with the Abbotts, and that's not true.
I haven't taken that into consideration. I'm taking it based on the fact that the text messages that came from Russ to them. I'm not taking anything about packs of dogs. I never mentioned it.
Okay.
The other thing also is, God, I got so much here. Well, the bottom line is I'm really concerned that the code is not being met for the kennel license, the inconsistency of statements that have been made, and I need to follow what the rules are. And that's all I'm doing. So the collars, the text messages, the statements. And then here's the other thing. When you apply for an SUP, which has just been over the last couple of years, you need to supply letters at the time of the SUP. Again, if you've read our code, when you supplied when you want to get an SUP, all the letters of four have to be submitted at the same time. That's in what you have to do, which you haven't done. And again, yes, I know you've got 246 of them. I have all those here, all these letters here of approval, but you had none at the time that you applied for the SUP. So all those letters, technically to me, don't mean anything.
Through the chair, Supervisor Vitello, that's not true. I don't have to support.
I'm not gonna argue.
I won't argue with you, but it's not. I've done dozens and dozens of cases across in this county and other jurisdictions where, if you get support, you provide the support to the county. The citizen participation period is all the way up until the point of decision by the board. And so, if they needed to go out into the community and drum up support, just so you know, they held a neighborhood meeting. Nobody showed up. Okay, so all of this hubbub, they had a neighborhood meeting. They followed all of the law. I've been assisting them for 3 years.
Okay.
We've followed the law. I would, maybe the county attorney can chime in on application requirements, but.
Yeah, well, because we allow.
No, I'm okay with, again, I'm not going to argue about it. It's just in all our research that is there.
I have 8 cards for the public hearing portion of this. You don't have to fill out a card to speak. And the Abbotts have filled out a card, so they're requesting to speak during the public hearing portion of this. Patrick, do you have something?
I did. Just wanted to chime in before we go to the public hearing. I did want to make a slight correction. There was an additional stipulation edit that was made to stipulation 7 for this case, and that was just to correct the times from 5 to 10 to, I believe, 9 a.m. to 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. So there's a correction that will be pointed out in the motion, possibly.
So the reading of this would be of more than 15 minutes in the early morning prior to 6 a.m. or late at night after 9 p.m. And this was a change made by the commission to align with another stipulation that references common time. So the common time for this stipulation would be from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. All right, staff. Presenter, you good?
Chair and board, I'm happy to answer questions. There was an additional slide where I took a 12-minute or 12-second clip of the Abbott's property on the Jean Drive. If you wish to view it, it was not viewed at your prior hearing. So if I can go back to the slideshow and play that one video clip, please. Last thing I would like to address, Supervisor Vitello's comment about the issue with the licensing. Compliance is here, they can talk, and they did present to you at the last hearing that as much as they almost don't like the concept of dog breeders, if there was going to be a dog breeder, they specifically said they should do it just like the Abbotts, that they're model citizens when it comes to this. So that said, if I can go to the video clip in there. There was a video clip. I think it's over in the second slide. How do I go back? There it is. You can't see it. All right, we have a little tech issue here. There's a video. You can see the play button at the bottom of the slide. It worked at P&Z. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, Mr. Vitale, you've seen the property. I don't think there's an issue with it as well as it's maintained. You can see it in the aerial. So we have a tech issue. I can't play the video, but it shows the German Shepherds playing in the yard. It's very well maintained. Thank you.
Shell.
Yeah, I'm Shell Abbott, and I live on Jean.
I know who you are. And so you filled out a public to speak to on the public hearing portion of it. I haven't opened up the public hearing. Do you have a specific question you're going to answer?
I actually have my pass outs.
Yeah.
Because the public hearing portion of it will be 3 minutes.
Right. Well, I don't need.
Chairman, as a point of formality, when you actually check in for the hearing, they want everyone to fill out speaker cards, even if we're co-presenting. So that's why she's in the public hearing portion as well. But she's a co-presenter and can address questions on licensing, which we're still pending with Supervisor Vitello.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Obviously brought up a lot of things. And what I told you in your office was that I was unaware, and that's why I brought Jason on, because the things that you were asking me, I did not feel prepared for. I came into your office because you called me and told me that you wanted to talk to me. I have the voicemail, and so I called back, and there wasn't an answer, and so I just dropped by. I did not know what was going to happen in that meeting. And so I did not come prepared for that because it was said you just wanted to talk. And that did not feel like a talk. But nonetheless, are there any questions that you have that I could actually answer for you? Or are all the questions that you have rhetorical towards me?
You've answered them in the past, but again, like I said, investigating this even deeper, I'm very concerned about the inconsistencies of your statements and the text messages. There is no dogs that ever got out, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only go by what the proof that I have. Right. I can only go by what I've seen physically. Your property, I didn't mention how good it was. There was nothing wrong with it. I'm not disagreeing with that. We spoke about the fence. The fence is supposed to be 7 foot high, we were told. The fence is only 6 foot high, which came out in planning and zoning. Again, I'm just saying, the property's fantastic. There's no questions about it. I'm concerned about a business that kept going back and forth. And then the other question should be is, during the time that you've had no kennel license, okay,
what
commercial,
time would that be?
Even just recently, you don't have a kennel license. It's a non-commercial. You have a non-commercial kennel license right now, correct?
My kennel license is issued to me by Pinal County Animal Control. All decisions made on that, I would recommend talking to them about.
Well, But again, if you filled out the paperwork for it, what I'm getting at is,
Supervisor, I'm going to ask the animal control to come up
Can
and
I
address
answer
that, because
two-
I actually had that same question the last time they were here, and there was an answer for that on the commercial and non-commercial. But we're going to, I think we should ask animal control that question.
sure.
The two other questions that you brought up, number one was, I don't ever remember saying that no dogs ever got out. Most people that have a dog that get out sometime. I know when I met with different supervisors, I even told them at times. I've had 2 times where the dogs got out, which we, as good neighbors, notified our neighbors that we had a dog out. And we got the dog and we brought it back with no incident of a bite while they were out there. So they're not at large and aggressive. That's number one. Number two, while you were out, there were 2 dogs that had bark collars on. Maybe you didn't recognize them, and that's okay. I have videos with the dogs with bark collars on. Most people don't recognize them. They're not very big. I don't take my professional pictures with bark collars on. It would be like going to take a picture of myself and going in my pajamas. I just don't do that. I'm going to dress them up, and they're going to look the best. So most of them don't even have a collar on at all. Hopefully that answers your question on that. I do have some things to pass out. Can I pass those out now?
You have to give them to the clerk.
Give them to you?
Give them to clerk.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I guess the question would end up, do you want me to ask animal control about these particular ones? Dates?
I do.
Okay.
And then what I'm passing is a reminder of the letters that I've gotten from support within 300 feet of my property. Last time I had 2 neighbors that came, and this time I had a different neighbor that's come, and I have 392 signatures and 71 letters. I did not get those last 41 letters, though, to Patrick in time. That was my fault, and so I went ahead and just printed them off. Are there any other additional questions for me at this time?
Anybody else? Okay. Audrey, could you come back up? This public hearing opened up here.
Yes, Supervisor.
Okay. I know that I had that same question the last time this was brought before us about sometimes they get a commercial license, sometimes they get a non-commercial license. The reason they have to get a non-commercial license is because they have more than 4 dogs and they're allowed up to 7 dogs. There's some kind of regulation like that.
Yes.
And when they come in and ask for a kennels license, what do they provide for you for information?
Okay. There's 4 different types of permits.
Okay.
You keep saying kennel license. We call them permits, I guess.
Okay, my fault.
So there's Class 1. That means that somebody has personal dogs up to 7. Then there's Class 2. They have personal dogs up to 12. Then you get into Class 3. And that's non-commercial. That would be, say, a rescue, a nonprofit that has dogs on their property that they're fostering, and they are trying to get them adopted out at events and stuff like that. That's non-commercial. Then you have commercial. That's the Class 4, and that one means that they're boarding, they're breeding, training, anywhere where they're making money and providing a business service. That is a commercial kennel.
Okay, so we have 4 different
4.
types.
Mm-hmm.
And that would vary by how many dogs you might have at the time
Correct.
you're asking for the permit.
And what you do with them.
And what you do with them.
Correct.
Do something like that. Okay,
So
go ahead, Rich.
what I'm getting at is if they're selling the dogs,
Right.
that's a business.
Yes.
Maybe not those 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 dogs. But if they're bringing them for puppies, they're joining the 2 businesses together. That is a Class 4
Yes.
because they're selling them.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting at. Even today, are they selling dogs today over the last, I know you can't answer that. But what I'm getting at is that when you apply for the Class 4, or you should have been applying for the Class 4, and you're still selling and you don't have a Class 4, that's the issue I'm having, is that you're breeding, you're selling, you're making money under the wrong classification. Now, I can understand 1 year, 2 years, but when we're going on, let's call it even 30 years, which we have nothing going back 30 years that they've had a commercial license. This is what I'm getting at. I'm concerned about the code's there, it's in our book, and no one's read it. So, not you, Audra. I'm talking about the applicants.
So, can I ask you, just interject a question then? What classification of a kennel license do they have currently?
I do believe they have a commercial, don't you? Oh, they have a non-commercial? So they have a class 3? That would mean that they are not breeding. So I was under the impression they had a class 4, which is commercial.
I think one time they did.
All my homework has all been, and it's all documented.
Yeah.
Okay, but
it's not
you see,
stuff I just made up.
But here's the issue. Here's the problem that we have, not only in this case, but many other cases when it comes to these rural communities, is we're not having proper communication internally and helping these applicants determine where they need to go. We need to have better processes to get us to from point A to point B to point Z. You're making arguments that many of us here that have rural communities in our districts are having those same issues and problems, and we're being used as the neighbor dispute problems. And they're using our rules, which we don't even understand ourselves. And you ask the question, has anybody read that? Well, Audra, she just assumed they had a commercial piece. And they were coming for advice and what direction to go. Now they're trying to get into compliance. They are actually, like many other individuals, they're trying to get into compliance. We've always had the attitude of, let's get you into compliance. What does it take to get there? And that's what this is all about. For me, it's eliminating any kind of violations in the past, but determine where are we going to go from here moving forward. Because I'll bet you 80% of our properties in these rural communities are out of compliance. For something. I guarantee you they will find something. Illegal buildings that have been built without permits, storage facilities, cars, all that kind of stuff, the amount of stuff that they have. And so that's one of the reasons why Miller and I, from the very beginning, was trying to get us to evaluate these rural communities and help eliminate some of this stuff and give some better clarification and better communication between internal staff members on where to go. We need to get there. And so you did a good job setting it up to where some of the problem is internally.
Sure, but I know I need a driver's license. I know I need to go renew it every 10 years, whatever it is. My point being is it's in black and white.
And the speed limit's in black and white, too.
Yeah.
But an officer has the ability to give you a warning or not.
Sure. But if it
Or
happens,
give you
if it happens 10 times over for many, many years, as I've heard Frank say, he has pulled people over, let them go, and then pulls them over. But anyway, my point being is all I'm doing is following what our rules are. That's all I'm getting at.
Okay.
I need to get this public hearing open, and we need to move on here. So I'm going to open the public hearing. I have.
Am I excused for now?
Not to leave, because we're doing item 12, and then we're going to do item 13. So Katie Burr.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Katie Burr. I assure you this isn't a neighbor dispute. We haven't been hounding them every year like they stated. We complained first in 2018, reached out to the county, said, hey, they're operating a commercial business, which kind of led us to now this point. So like I said, we've owned our property next to the proposed Jean Drive kennel since 2002. And in 2017, the neighbors moved in next door with the intention of expanding their breeding business, as they stated in their application for the SUP. So Code Compliance, who spoke with Animal Control at the time, confirmed that the Jean property had no commercial kennel permits. Val Vista location had one through Animal Control. Code Compliance said they spoke to property owners about what they can and can't do. They said it was only their personal dogs there, and all puppy sales go through Val Vista. In the application, they stated that all puppy sales go through Jean. So after Animal Control and Code Compliance made contact with one another, it seems as though they were issued non-commercial kennel licenses and then commercial kennel licenses for a couple years, and then back to non-commercial. So surrounding neighbors have concerns with safety, as there is a documented proof of dogs escaping and at large in the past, excessive noise, and neighbors saying that they feel like they can't safely walk down their own street. There are over 42 letters of opposition, assumably most from people in the neighborhood who are directly affected by it. Each person has their own experiences and opinions on the matter as to why they oppose it, just as the ones supporting it have their own experiences and opinions. I do personally hope that our current codes and zoning and CCNRs are upheld, as they are in place for a reason. I think most landowners expect those to be upheld, especially if their proposed use greatly affects the use of your own land. There is a list of approved uses and businesses that can apply for an SUP, and kennels is not a listed use. So yeah, this is going to simply be at your discretion, and I hope that you consider the people directly affected by the requested SUP. And remember, if someone was going to apply to run a commercial kennel with those other stipulations, like with the current need for the 5 acres and the correct setbacks, they would also still need written support of 75% of the property owners within 300 feet, which, as of my knowledge, they do not currently have. Thank you.
Becky Teller? Becky? Is there a Becky in the?
Chair, Supervisors, Becky had to leave. She was going to speak in support. She prepared a statement. We could read it if you'd like it, or
You can read it.
Thank you. All right, this is from Becky. She's one of the property owners just behind the Abbotts. She said that she apologizes. She had to leave due to a work meeting. I have spoken to many of my neighbors on Gale Lane, that's the street behind the Abbotts, who fully support the operation of the Abbott Kennel, as well as myself and my husband. My husband Jared and myself truly appreciate what an asset they bring to our small rural community. We have witnessed the care and training skills that they provide for their dogs. Never have we ever had a problem with their dogs bothering or threatening us or our farm animals. It is such a pleasure to watch them interact with our dogs in such a controlled and safe environment. When our young grandkids come to visit us, they look forward to watching them play with the dogs and train with their dogs. I appreciate the Abbotts for wanting to do the right thing. I wish others would do the same. We look forward to their future with our kennel. Thank you.
Amanda Jackson?
Good afternoon. I'm Amanda Jackson, reading for Gary Mediver. Supervisors, this correspondence is for the purpose of stating my objections to SUP-00723 to be heard on July 2nd, 2025. SUPs for dog kennel operations are not allowed on the code and are not suitable in a SR zoning classification on less than 5 acres. While this is a large lot classification, a kennel should not be allowed for the following reasons. 1. Noise travels great distances in rural areas. Noise from a dog's barking can be heard as far as a quarter to a half mile away through closed doors and windows, depending on the time of day and other factors. That means that residents of the area, not just those living next door, will be impacted by the noise of multiple animals at all hours of the day. While there is technology to help address the issue, it is unreliable at best and almost worthless in general application. 2. The applicant has been in violation of the code for many years to the exasperation of their neighbors. While compliance is the goal of code enforcement, I feel that an applicant should not be rewarded with an SUP after so many years in violation. It is simply not a good policy to reward long-term violators. 3, the Commission will be receiving letters from customers of the applicant expressing their thoughts on the quality of the animals and their level of care for them. Nobody is objecting to this SUP application because the applicant does not run a caring operation. These customers do not live next door or in the vicinity of the applicant's location and do not have to suffer any of the negative aspects of living in the vicinity of such a business operation. Please disregard any letters received from customers that do not have the topic at issue, that being an SUP at their point of argument. Number 4, the county is undertaking a formidable task of updating its existing codes, and this board felt the wrath of the electorate when a new code was proposed without citizen input. It will now restart the process with input from the citizens. Most of the objections came about concerns that the proposed new code was severely restricting the number of livestock or pets to less than that allowed under the current code. Simply put, canine kennels are not permitted in the SR zoning on less than 5 acres under the current code. I encourage this board to uphold that code and initiate a moratorium on the approval of any SUPs for livestock or other animal breeding in zoning classification countywide that does not currently allow it until the citizens approve a new code. SUPs are permanent, and when this board approves them, you are setting a precedent that will set the stage for others that will want their SUP application for the same type of business to be approved by stating, well, you approve the Abbott's SUP, why not mine? The applicants can appeal their case to those that will not be soliciting public input on the verbiage of the new code, and who knows, maybe kennels might be allowed in the SR zoning on less than 5 acres when the code is revised. In closing, I urge the board to unanimously reject the applicant's request for SUPs to operate a kennel and order code enforcement to close the existing non-compliant operations. Gary A. Mediver, 10390 North Marcy Lane, Maricopa, Arizona. Thank you.
Jason Sanks? Oh, that's, you were the presenter, I'm sorry. Russell Byers?
Hello, yes, Russell Byers, Maricopa. I am Shell Abbott's husband. I have no legal connection to my wife's business. I think that for me that's important to note because of the fact that Mr. Vitiello brought up that this isn't a personal attack, and yet he referenced my business, which my wife has no ownership in and is completely unrelated to this topic that we're discussing here today. And so I'm not sure why that gets brought into this. But a few specific points you had, sir, that I thought that I would answer. One of the things you mentioned was the fence. We had previously told Mr. Sanks, when he asked us about the fence, what type of fence do you have? And I explained that it was corrugated metal, and I said it's about 7 feet tall. That became gospel. It became written that we have a 7-foot fence, and then Planning and Zoning said you will continue a 7-foot fence. It came to my attention it's not 7 feet, so I went out and I measured it to find out it's in fact 6 foot 9.5 inches. I apologize. That was not me being deceptive. I bought the metal. We installed the fence. I was told it was a 7-foot fence. It's not, so I'm sorry. The commercial kennel, I am the one who handled the building. I physically built the kennel myself with the help of some family and friends. And during that process, when I was asked through the approval process, when they do the framing inspection, electrical, whatever all the inspections are and such, at some point in time it came up about, obviously in the framing you can see there were dog doors. And it's clearly a dog kennel, and they asked me about it if it's for commercial use. And I was very frank about the fact that my wife and her mom own Abbott's German Shepherds. They are a dog breeding kennel. And they asked me specifically, does that happen here on this property? And I said, no, this is where all of the adult dogs live. I said, the adult dogs live here on my property. And then when there are puppies, that happens at my mother-in-law's house. They have a whelping kennel. That's specifically where the puppies are born, they're raised, and then sold from there. No puppies are sold from our house. That was mentioned as well. I'm not sure why that's thought, but no puppies are sold from our house. And so it was not me intentionally trying to mislead anyone when I explained what I did about the kennel and the use of the kennel. And today, that's exactly still what the kennel is used for. So if that's the wrong way to answer that question, again, I'm sorry. Shell did and has said on record here that her dogs have gotten out twice. as evidenced by the messages with Mr. Burr, they have gotten out twice. Mr. Burr, in a passive-aggressive fashion, when he texted me once about the dogs getting out, he said, "Your for-sale puppies are on the loose." I didn't correct him. I wasn't trying to fight with him. I thanked him for notifying that one of my dogs was out, and we went and got the dog. That was it. We don't have for-sale puppies at my house. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I didn't plan on speaking, but again, every time I come to these meetings and support, it always feels like a personal attack. And so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that's why I
Thank you for your time.
So.
Oh, and briefly, Mr. Vitiello.
No, you're done.
Okay.
You're done.
65 is when you
You're
have to
done.
get a new license.
You're done. Chad Burr.
Hello, I'm Chad Burr, and 12330 North White Road. Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, Board of Supervisors, you've heard from me before, so I'm going to read some letters that I was asked to read here from concerned neighbors.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Please share with the board. This email is regards to the proposed dog breeding kennel on 49641 West Jean Drive in Maricopa, Arizona. To whom it may concern, as a lifelong resident of the community and 26 years of residence on Jean Drive, I have many concerns about this residence, and this is located just a few houses down from my home. On more than one occasion, while out for a walk with my children and grandchildren and on my own, we have had to quickly turn back, call for help, and ask another neighbor for assistance in dealing with the dogs that have escaped the property. The dogs bark continuously, chase and intimidate to the point where we can no longer walk down our street. My family and I moved our family to the neighborhood in 1999 to raise our children in a safe environment, and with the passing of the proposed kennel just a few houses away, I feel our feeling of safety would be greatly affected. I appreciate your consideration to not passing this proposal with the safety of all the neighbors, children, grandchildren in mind. Thank you for your time. Tally Solano, 50209 West Jean Drive. Board of Supervisors, this is a new letter. My name is Mike Marcelletti, and I am writing to oppose the kennel that is seeking the SUP on my street. I drive past these dogs every day and have witnessed their persistent aggression by barking and chasing cars, animals, and people that pass by. The fences are low enough that the dogs can jump over, and they have been out in the neighborhood numerous times. I also hear barking throughout the day that is disturbing the peace in our neighborhood. I do not want to have a breeding kennel on my street. Commercial kennels are not allowed in our zoning. After researching in most current stipulations that are attached to this case, it says that the SUP will be confined to the land. This means that the land will forever carry the special use permit, even if it is sold to someone else. That is creating an even bigger problem, one that has no end. Why is there a stipulation giving a time frame on when the dogs are held accountable for excessive barking? Shouldn't they always be held accountable for excessive barking, not just at night? There are many issues and concerns with the proposed SUP. It will and does have a negative impact of all the surrounding neighbors. Please vote no on SUP 007-23. Thank you for your time and consideration. Mark Marcelletti, 50135 West Jean Drive. One additional letter. Hello, my name is Matthew Williford. I am the field manager for Papago Domestic Water. The dog kennel is adjacent to our lateral, and having become aggressive towards my meter reader, Perry Holmes, for safety reasons, he now carries mace when reading the particular area. If these animals should get out, they are a definite safety concern. The end. The other thing I'd like to add is there's no definition of dog in the stipulation of adult dog. The Pinal County Animal Control requires a license at 3 months old.
Okay.
And my wife requested in 2018 to put a kennel in around the same time. Planning and zoning told her no, it's not allowed in your zoning.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I have one other card that says available to answer questions. Randall Abbott, is there any questions that need to be answered?
Do you have questions?
I don't know. God, I hope not.
Well, I am willing to answer any that you may have. I am the one that started the kennel on Val Vista.
Okay, Ms. Adams.
And when we started out there, there were hardly anybody out there. You had actually said that you know you need a driver's license, so you get one.
We don't want to
So-
debate that.
I'm sorry.
Do you have any answers to questions that were asked by the board?
Oh, there weren't questions. There were just statements that I thought that maybe would help. It felt like a question, like, why would you not do this? So I felt like maybe you might want an answer to that. That's all.
Oh.
But if
Well,
it's
I
not
don't-
needed, then I'm fine. I would rather sit back
I want it to
down.
be, I want it to be specific to this agenda item.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, unless anybody has a question, then I have nothing.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I do have a question for Patrick. Where do you go?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So numerous times it's been that an SUP for a kennel is not permitted. Then if that was the case, you couldn't have even done an application
Yes.
for an SUP. So that's not true then? I mean,
I
I'm
would-
trying to understand.
I would point to an inaccuracy with that statement. There is a provision O that's allowed under the SCP provisions that is any use as permitted by the plan, or that is proposed by the Planning and Zoning Commission. That was the intention of the January 18th, 2023, or sorry, 2024 hearing of the Planning and Zoning Commission, where they initiated the discussion for the SCP process, is whether or not an SCP would be allowable to be pursued for a commercial kennel for the reasons that we outlined. And this was applicable to 5 separate kennel cases, of which we have now discussed 3, one of which, and a 4th has also dropped out. But
So that-
ultimately,
so
staff
that was a
allowed.
that was a decision made by staff or by the
Planning
Planning
and
and
Zoning
Zoning
Commission.
Commission?
They made
That they would allow kennels, or SUPs.
They would allow the case to be pursued for an SUP for the commercial kennel use.
Okay, so it is permitted because we gave the okay.
Through an action of the commission, yes.
Through an action of the commission. Okay, I wanted to be clear about that. Okay.
And Chairman, I don't know if this helps, but I spoke with Animal Control as well and can confirm the Gene Drive property holds a Class 4 commercial kennel permit, or a license, permit, in their words, at this time.
Yeah, and I mean, things change from time to time, from year to year, from month to month. I mean, and I can see how, you might have one kind of permit at one time and a different kind at another time, but, okay. Anybody else want to speak to this item before I close the public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Supervisors, any comments or questions?
I don't want to kick a dead horse. And don't. For me, as I'm, I think I pretty much made a few comments before, but I think one thing that I think is very clear here is the amount of work that needs to be done internally, changing some of the way that we communicate with each department and notify each other of all these things. The second thing is that special use permits allow us to go outside of what the codes and ordinances state. That's what a special use permit is there to allow these type of businesses, commercial or not. I think I think the way we classify it as a commercial, I think it should be a home-based business. I think it's of a small enough nature. These are some things that we need to debate and discuss amongst us at a later date. We need to continue pursuing, changing, reevaluating our codes as a whole, because there are multiple cases out there right now that are on the books that people are in violation. And so, for me, I'm looking at this particular situation, and the last thing I want to do, we want to try to encourage the American dream of home-based, of being in business for yourself. I think that's everybody's dream, is being in business for yourself. And what they're trying to do at this point is to get into compliance. And by issuing this special use permit, it will bring them into compliance. From that point forward, there are certain stipulations in this that they have to adhere to, and if they don't, the special use permit can be pulled. So those are some things I just want to make sure that the public is aware of and understands that, including the applicant, that they're going to be monitored. They're going to be more scrutinized than anything if this does pass, especially in the circumstance of you've got pros and cons for this. So I just want to make sure that that's made very clear. Other than that, if there's no other comments, any arguments that anybody?
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that we approve item number 12. And I've got a missing page. Hold on a second.
We have a recommendation on
Approve as presented with 11 revised stipulations, including revisions to stipulation 4, number 6, number 8, and number 11.
Chairman, if I may, because the presentation was not correct, Patrick did make that additional motion as it relates to stipulation number 7 with the correction to the
with the hours.
With the hours from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
From
And it's on the screen.
6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
With the revision to item number 7, stipulation number 7, to be.
It's on the screen for you. Look at
6 a.m.
Look at my. Oh, it's right there in front of me. They're reading it too, huh? Okay, so approve as presented with 11 revised stipulations, including revisions to stipulation number 4, number 6, number 7, with correction to the common time to read 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., number 8, and number 11.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second it. I want to see a vote. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
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 Failed. Thank you. Item number 13. We'll have a public hearing. We have probably a very similar presentation by Patrick. But I'll open the public hearing after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon again, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Patrick Zay Roberts, Senior Planner, presenting case SCP-00623 for the Abbott Shepherd's Val Vista Road location. This is a proposal for a special use permit to allow a commercial kennel on the property in the SR Suburban Ranch Zoning District on a 3.3 acre lot at 50956 West Val Vista Road in Maricopa. The owner and applicant of the property is Rennell Abbott, represented by Jason Sanks. A map showing the location of the approximate location of the property, the zoning of the property in question, vicinity of the property in relation to other zoning districts, an aerial map showing the overhead view of the property in question, the notification area for the neighbors in proximity to the site, an image looking north towards the property, south towards vacant land, east and west. This is a site plan photo showing the current kennel layout for the proposed SUP. This property is one of 5 similar existing commercial kennels proposed before the Commission for SUP action during the January 18th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The property is located amongst other properties with rural and agricultural uses and animal husbandry operations. The commercial kennel use is existing and does not present an impact to public health, safety, or welfare. The proposed SUP is compliant with standards of the SR zoning district and is comparable to the I'll go ahead and skip over that portion. SUP approval shall make compatible the existing use with surrounding land uses. The property features improvements to accommodate the kennel use, and no change in the 31-year-old operations proposed on the property. The applicant was proactive in seeking to resolve the code compliance violations of the property as they were apparent, and the applicant has identified a business niche and articulable need in their community. To date, staff has received 40 letters of opposition discussing increased noise and nuisances, instances of escaped dogs at large, that such businesses should require a 5-acre minimum lot size, that violation of the terms of the Pinal County Animal Control Kennel Permit are present, an increased traffic in the neighborhood and on the neighbor's property, diminution of property values, adherence to CCNRs, and inclusion of a petition of 10 neighbors in opposition to the special use permit. To date, staff has received 131 letters of support for this case, discussing ethical operations, facility cleanliness, quiet operations, support of family businesses, and community engagement of the Abbott family. So on March 20th, following a public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval 9-1 of case SCP-00623 with 12 stipulations. On May 28th, the Board of Supervisors remanded SCP-00623 back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for consideration of 9 revised stipulations due to the fact that the Commission had not reviewed those revised stipulations. And then on June 19th, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed SCP-00623 and following a public hearing voted 8-0 to recommend approval with 10 stipulations, including revisions to stipulation 4, 5, 7, and 10 for this case. And I'll go ahead and read those stipulations into the record. The special use permit is issued to the land and shall be binding on the property owner from date of the Board of Supervisors approval. 2, approval of the special use permit will require that the applicant, owner, developer submit and secure from the applicable and appropriate federal, state, county, and local regulatory agencies all required applications, plans, permits, supporting documentation, and approvals necessary for its operation. 3, signage on the site shall not be permitted. 4, the number of adult dogs allowed on the property shall be limited to 7 at any time. 5, all dogs on the property shall be housed and maintained inside kennels by 9 p.m. on a daily basis, except that the dogs shall be brought into their kennels during daylight hours for a minimum of 3 hours. 6, the applicant shall take appropriate and necessary measures to mitigate any excessive barking, such as the use of bark collars, use of insulation or other materials to reduce the level of sound from kennels, so as to avoid disturbing the peace and quiet of another person with excessive barking without cause, i.e. no outside animal intrusion onto the property. Excessive barking shall be defined as frequent intermittent barking of more than 15 minutes or sustained barking of more than 15 minutes in the early mornings. And again, this is a correction made at the Planning and Zoning Commission, so we're proposing a revision to prior to 6 a.m. or late at night after 9 p.m. 7, a current valid license from the Pinal County Animal Care and Control shall be maintained at all times while the dog kennel is operational, accepting only a 30-day lapse unless the lapse is caused by Pinal County. 8, an action to revoke the SCP shall be initiated by the zoning inspectors or code compliance officer's determination that the property does not meet or is not in compliance with any of these stipulations of approval pursuant to Pinal County Development Services Code 2.151.010V. A notice shall be sent to the property owner and or leasee of the property covered by the SP requiring compliance with the conditions of approval within 15 calendar days. Upon failure to comply with the specified time period, the supervisors, after notification by certified mail to the property owner and or the leasee of the property covered by the SP, shall schedule and hold a public hearing to determine if the special use complies with the conditions of approval and for possible action. The supervisors may extend the time for compliance or approve or deny the revocation with or without conditions. 9, the property owner and or the leasee of the property and or the operator of the kennel shall allow Pinal County employees to enter upon the property upon request for purposes of inspections to ensure compliance with these conditions of approval, which entry shall not be deemed a trespass. 10, if there is any change in property ownership or licensee after the SP is approved by the Board of Supervisors, then the SP shall become null and void on the effective date of the transfer of property ownership. Parcel 510630100, the current owners, Byers Abbott Family Living Trust, Russell C. and Michelle S. Byers trustees, shall notify Pinal County at least 30 calendar days prior to the property ownership change or change of licensee by way of certified United States mail, return receipt requested, and sent to the following address: attention, Pinal County Development Services, copied, Clerk of the Board, P.O. Box 827, Florence, Arizona, 85132. At this point, does the board have any additional questions of staff?
Any questions, Patrick? Seeing none. Does the applicant have a presentation?
He does.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair and Supervisors. I won't need the PowerPoint for this one. You've already seen it. We've been here for several hours. This is for the Bella Vista Drive property. This is the original German Shepherd breeding business, 31 years, no complaints. We have 2 emphatic letters of support from our neighbors on this drive. The opposition that was here is clearly not concerned about this case any longer. They've walked out. This is the other location. It's 2.5 miles away. It's also the location where the puppies are actually sold. So I think the concerns about commercial and business and licensing perhaps center a little bit more on this one because that's where the puppies are sold. At the other location, it's just where the adult breeding dogs are. Renelle has been doing this for a very long time. Her and her daughter, this is a family tradition. This is, as Supervisor Goodman said in the last item, this is the American dream. This is what they do. They're upstanding members of the community. I believe they've demonstrated that through care of these animals, care of their properties. They've supported the conditions of approval that were in that last case and in the current case that's up before you to mitigate perceived impacts of their dogs on these adjacent properties. And I think many of their neighbors are going to be left wondering what's going on. Honestly, I think we're a little bit floored, but I understand the concerns that were expressed in the prior item. I would just stress that this is a family business that's been in their lives for 31 years. They run a really wonderful business. They have a lot of community support. And so I'd be happy to answer questions on, if it comes down to operations, of course, Shell is here, and then Renelle, the mom and daughter team are both here to answer questions on that.
Any questions of the applicant's presentation? No. I'll open the public hearing. I've opened the public hearing. Anybody from the public want to comment on this one? Seeing no one, I'm closing the public hearing. Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item number 13 as presented with 10 revised stipulations, including stipulations to stipulations number 4, number 5, number 7, and number 10.
Okay, and the hours.
And then the
Yes.
hours are on stipulation, which number?
Number 6.
Number 6. The hours being from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item number 14. It also has a public hearing component. Dedrick or Kendall?
Actually, it's Glenn Bach presenting in behalf of Kendall
Well, that's
Riley.
not what it says here.
Yeah, forgive me, I know very little about this case as I've only very recently inherited it, so I'll
It'll
do my
fit
best.
right in today's agenda.
So are we using this one or this one?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so this case here is PZ 015-24. This is a public hearing. Owner is Renzo Gure de la Rosa. Zion Brothers LLC is the applicant, requesting approval of a rezone from general rural to single residence zoning district, R20, on approximately 1.36 acres. This is generally located in an unincorporated portion of Casa Grande west of Highway 387 and north of West Hopi Drive and east of North Falldale. So this is District 3, and here's a map showing you the general location. This gives you an aerial photo zooming in a little bit closer so you see the surrounding development and vacancy. And as you notice here, it's a rather narrow lot. And here's a conceptual site plan. And here's the site posting as well as looking from each direction from the property. So items for commission here, consideration were presented here. as well as, so staff has received no comments of opposition or support. So as far as I'm aware, this slide is still correct. And this provides the stipulations. And staff shall endeavor to answer the board's questions the best of our ability.
Board have any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none, does the applicant have a presentation? Is the applicant here?
Appears the applicant's not here. I'm not familiar with the applicant, so that would be my best guess.
Okay. All right, well, let me open the public hearing. Anybody want to speak to this item? Seeing no one, we're going to close the public hearing. Board's pleasure.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve item number 14 with 5 stipulations.
A second.
I've got a second. Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. What is this next one? Mr. Watermaker. Approval of ordinance number 070225-RD24-168. Sounds impressive.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Chris Wanamaker, County Engineer, here to present item number 15. It's the proposed parking ordinance for regulation of parking of vehicles within the public right-of-way and on county-owned roadways. So there's a brief presentation. It wasn't attached.
I like the brief. That's
Well, then
brief
there's
right
no-
there.
There's no presentation, but there, if you recall, we had 2 separate work sessions on this item, and we made, as a result of the first work session, some minor revisions to accommodate the rural large lot areas. And then we had a public comment period. We did our advertising, and we've received no written comments through that public comment period. So, is there any questions on the language of the ordinance?
Is there any question for Mr. Watermaker? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody want to speak to this item? Close the public hearing. Board's pleasure.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve item 15 as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 16. Diane, waiting here all day. I probably should have pulled her thing up earlier.
Good afternoon, Chairman Miller, Vice Chair McClure, Board of Supervisors, Joe Ortiz, Development Services Managing Director. Item 16 is not necessarily a public hearing, but it is an item for discussion and action for the purchase and sale agreement between Pinal County, political subdivision of the state of Arizona, as a seller, and Randolph United Council, a nonprofit, Arizona nonprofit corporation, as the buyer. The property for sale is in the amount of $34,220. It is real property of Pinal County, parcel number 401-31004A, which is approximately 0.96 acres, and would be utilized as a multi-center youth center / community center. For the board's awareness, this item does require unanimous consent by the board.
Okay.
And I'll be glad to answer questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, just one, Joe. Was there appraisal done? I mean, how did this number, since it's such a...
Yeah, this is from our appraisal that was done. So.
Okay, great, thanks.
It's required. Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item 16 as presented.
I have a motion, and I have a second. I have a motion and a second. Do you want to do a roll call, or do you think you can we can go with voice? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
Did you get that?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. 17, the one we've been looking for.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Angie Woods, I'm the Director of the Office of Budget and Finance. Before you, I have an item to sell several pieces of furniture to the town of Florence Public Works Department in the amount of $1. Our county salvage department has these items. We would be putting them for auction or disposing of them if there was not a buyer via auction. This item does require unanimous consent of the board.
I'd like to help out the city of Florence. So, any questions of Angie? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, go ahead. No, you said it first.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to approve item 17 as written.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned.